Hello! Hello! We got a really, really, really cool show today. SeaSandAndFun.com. We're going to talk about why do you travel? What types of travel do you like to do? And are you due for a holiday? And if you are, I have the world's leading expert on this right here, right now. We're going to talk about what it is to travel. Why do you travel? How do you do it? What are your things? And look, we're going to run through a couple of really amazing variations. And just in case you don't know, this is restreamed being sent to LinkedIn and YouTube. We know that most people watch the first 5 minutes of the replay, or maybe 8 minutes. And so we're going to power load the first couple of minutes. I'm going to talk a bit faster than normal, and we're going to put in all these really cool things, and then you can watch the replay at your leisure. So we've worked out that most people travel for a number of reasons, and let me know what your reason is in the comments. Relaxation and rejuvenation. We're going to talk a lot about that. Exploration and adventure, going to foreign lands and learning foreign languages and using funky money and trying really cool food. And that's a lot of fun. Education and learning, seeing firsthand, where Caesar did his thing, in Rome or Pompeii or wherever he did his thing. I don't know. Personal growth. We often, when we travel, the hidden benefit of traveling is that we learn so much about ourselves because we got time to think and explore and unwind. Some people just travel to see family and friends, and they travel all around the world to do that. And I've known lots of people to do that. And business and work. You just travel because your boss says, "Look, can you get on a plane and fly to Hong Kong today?" Yeah, okay. Stay a few extra days if you want while you're there. We'll shout you. Okay, well that's all right. I'll do that. Nothing on TV tonight. I might as well. Business and work. I'm joking to make a point because I really, really want to find out why people travel, and we want to have the whole gamut of discussion. We're going to talk a lot about this today, and if you want to know more, I want you to go to Lynn's website, seasandandfun.com, because she organises holidays all around the world. She's done it, for ages and ages, and she's so good at it. So, Lynn, tell me about this thing called travel, and why do people do it in your experience? What's the main thing people do with that stuff?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think you set it up perfectly, Keith, because all of those are perfect reasons to travel. And for the most part, here in the US, we have our 2 weeks vacation, and we want to go and take that time to get away because maybe that's the only time we have. And we desperately need that time to take that rest and that relaxation. It's vital to our health, as we now know.
Let's start there.
Mhm,
Let's start with
mhm,
this quintessential obvious one. That you know, Australians get 4 weeks a year, and
mhm.
the government very long time ago, I think 1908, realised that Australians need leisure to health function as healthy individuals in society. I'm going to Google when we got 4 weeks, but we've had 4 weeks as long as I've been born, and probably as long as my dad's been born, and it's part of our culture that we have 4 weeks a year. So we use them. We go away. We take a road trip. We fly overseas. We go to New Zealand. We might go to Tasmania on a boat. But we go camping. But the point is that we do something other than work, right? We do something other than work. Now, this is in itself is a whole industry, as you know, Lynn. You do this for a living.
Mhm.
Rest and relaxation is a thing. Now, I know a lot of people don't like doing that, or they don't feel that they can, but it's very important. Can you tell me about how you get involved here? What sort of things do you find most leisureful for people?
Well, now there are so many ways people, I mean, it's not just for the reasons that you mentioned that people travel, but there are so many different ways in which we travel now. And the rest and rejuvenation, there are there are trips, and especially, even in the cruise industry has even, expanded the spa areas. And it really, it's become so much more popular in your resorts. There's lots of spa that are simply dedicated to just, that spa relaxation, yoga, all of those things that we just are doing for ourselves, our bodies, our minds, and those are wonderful, wonderful, relaxing vacations to take. And coming back from something like that, you are going to be ready to face a difficult week ahead. Because when you come back, you're to work, it is piled up, and so you'll be ready for it after that for sure.
Look, so we travel with a group called Intrepid. Intrepid is an Australian company, intrepid.com, intrepidtravel.com. And we've done 12 trips with them. So, like, we're pretty diehard. And I've noticed that whenever we travel, there's always a couple of people in a moment of their life. They're thinking, you know what? I don't want to go back. I don't want to go. I don't want to go back to that job. What else can I do? I've got a couple of weeks free time to think. I'm better than this. I hate that job. I hate that boss. I'm not getting enough money. I can't live on it. I want to might move house. I might move city. I might, and so travel, other than being for relaxation and rejuvenation, it's for an exploration.
Mm-hmm.
So you might start with a zip lining trip to the Grand Canyon, but while you're there, you're thinking, you know what, this is pretty good. I'm enjoying myself here. I'm really enjoying this. And so I'm going to see if I can do more of this. And then you go back, and this is what happens. This has happened to me many times. Oh, look, I wouldn't mind working 4 days a week, or having maybe just, we had this thing in Australia called 48-52, where you get 8 weeks a year, but you get paid for 48 weeks. You take a cut in your pay to get more holidays. 48-52 it was called. Bloody brilliant system. So they give you an extra 4 weeks. And people would say, no, not doing that. And one boss said to me once, you know the rules. Monday to Friday, we own you. Weekends, you can do what you want. And you get 4 weeks off once a year. That's it. Yeah, well, I'm not sure I'm happy with that. I want to travel more. Well, you can't. You can quit, and you can travel as long as you want. But as long as you're working, you get 4 weeks a year and weekends. All right. So I did quit 2006. That's another story which we can tell in a minute. But the point is that exploration. We got Bez and Americo in the back channel there, and I'll bring you in a minute. I just want to give Lynn plenty of chance to tell the story about what she does, and then we'll bring in some Q&A about this.
Well, I love that you brought up the exploration, because interestingly, did you know, and this is a fun fact, expedition cruising is up 150%. And those are real numbers, and people are doing more of that type of adventurous travel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Perfect idea in a way. Sleep in a comfy bed for 3 days and then jump off and hug a penguin in the Antarctic.
Yes, absolutely. Super popular thing to do these days, for sure.
And the thing is that, I mean, in Australia, this is very important. Right at the moment, we're having this big debate about 4-day week and 2 days a week at home. We're having a big debate about this in Australia. Work is one part of your life. It's not your life. Work is one part of your life. Arguably, it's important, maybe, to some people. But, at the end of the day, you get paid, and then you do things with that money. Right? This is the way I live. I work to live. I don't live to work. And so I don't live to work. I work to live. And I work as much as I need to get the money I have to buy things. And I think that some people have lost that sort of vibe a bit. And so holidays, when you're away, like when we got back, we've done this many times, but when we went to Thailand, Wifey cried on the plane. She says, "Look, I don't want to go back, Keith. I don't want to go back to that job.
Oh.
I don't want to go back to that job. I didn't realize how stressful it was until I was away from it, trekking in the forests of Thailand. And look, I don't want to do it. So that was a moment that she can't take out. And then she changed in about 3 weeks. And so just amazingly, someone rang her and said, "Look, are you up for a change?" Whoa, man, you can't believe how good that timing is. I just got back from 2 weeks in Thailand, and I don't want to do this job anymore. Shh, don't tell the boss. Well, I've got another job. I'm going to give you extra 10 grand if you come over and see me at lunchtime. And can you start Monday? Okay. So exploration and adventure. It's not just 2 weeks off and then your life goes on. You learn things about yourself, about the world, about what's going on in the world, right? It's about education and learning, and more importantly, personal growth. This happens to me. We went to Japan for a month, bloody long time, and I'm a different person coming back. I went in as a person. I'm still Keith Keller from Melbourne, Australia, but I came out a slightly different person, better person probably, refreshed, relaxed, a bit more perspective on the world, full of beans. And I mean, I can't imagine not doing this now. So I just think it's very, very important. If you've got any questions at all, I'd love to hear your thoughts about where you go for your holidays. What's your take on travel? Do you love doing it? Would you love to do it more? Lynn's the person to talk to in those cases. And this will be a replay if you want to listen to that as well. I would love for 100 people to make comments during the show. How I score is 300 people in one show. I'm very proud of that. So let's see if we can beat our record. We are multi-streaming to LinkedIn and to YouTube. And I'd love to hear where you're calling in from and where you'd like to visit next. So that's a bit of a double whammy. And doubtlessly there'll be people on LinkedIn from there. And if you want to know more about the shows, just go to Where Is Keith Today. But tell us a bit more about what you do, Lynn, in regards to travel, because we can talk about this for a long time when we got people in the back channel wanting to hear from you, and we'll bring them in a minute. But let's give you your flowers. What do you do, and how do you help people?
Well, it's travel. There's anybody, we know we could go and book our own travel, right? Why do you need to have a travel agent? And I think the easiest way to explain that is, number one, don't you want to have more time for yourself? It's not extra to use a travel agent. I mean, there's no cost to you using a travel agent. The suppliers they cover that commission for me, so there's nothing out of pocket for you. You don't have to worry. Your mind can be at ease. And when you book travel yourself and something goes wrong, who are you going to call? Do you think Expedia is going to be on the line? No. You have a direct person. When you use a travel agent, you have them to call directly. And I think that in itself is the value in booking with an agent.
Yeah. Let me pick up on this. Let me pick up on this. My wife's very, 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 very organized. She's a Capricorn. Mm-hmm. And we thought, okay, for our 25th anniversary, very good story. In this context, well, why don't we go to France? She's always wanted to go to Paris. Let's go to Paris. Hey, let's go to Paris. And while we're in Paris, we might as well hang out. So we'll go all around France. We'll stay for a month because we get 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. So she gets about halfway into planning, and we're getting the train from Paris to wherever. Mm-hmm. And then we stay there 3 nights, and when again we get in the train, and she came back to me, says, Keith, can we just do a tour? I mean, I'm more stressed out planning this holiday than my work. I've got two jobs. I've got two jobs now. I've got a full-time job, and I'm planning the holiday. And we're sort
Mhm.
of bantering away on the weekends on the laptop. You know, what do you want? Do you want to go here, or do you want to go there, or where do you want to stay? Do you like this hotel? That looks nice. They haven't. That's included, but that's not included. And this one's close to the station, and this one's near where we want to stay, and this one's not very far away. And oh, geez, that's dear. And you're having these conversations that go on hours and hours and hours and hours. And Carol said, "This is hard, Keith. This is hard. Can we just go on a tour?" So you have a very vital function in society, Lynn. Like you have a vital function in society, I would say.
Well, definitely, and I I know that having an agent is valuable because I'm going to use one of my most recent clients, and she's uh, really, bless her heart, she had a terrible experience, and this was nothing. This is just flight. Y'all know with flights, sometimes they do get delayed, right? And she had a major delay, and it actually, you may recall London Heathrow, the fire that was back in March. Anyway, the plane could not land, so they had to be diverted, and it wasn't just her. I mean, many people who were flying in, that particular day had to be diverted because of the fire that they had. Um, but one of the things I will say, I think, is this is where having someone like me that booked your trip, um, she had really been on the fence about getting insurance for the trip. And this is something I really, when I sit down with the client, if we're, on the phone or via Zoom or at a coffee shop, whatever, I really stress the importance of that, getting insurance, because with delays in your flights these days, and they do happen, they do, you do want to have that, and especially because we don't know what can happen, right?
Why
So
would you not do it? Why would you not do it just to save the money?
there, believe it or not, it happens all the, I mean, and you can't make a horse drink water, okay? And so same thing. I mean, you can't make someone, get insurance. So, but the thing is, she did, and even though, and I will say this too, it took a while to get that refund back because they kept wanting this and this and this and this. But you know who had to deal with that? Wasn't her, me. So she didn't have to worry. I took care of it, and I stayed on top of the insurance to get her money. And she got not only her money for her, but for her daughter, because she was traveling with her. So wonderful. So
I
that is great. I mean, that's why you do it. So you don't have to go through, because fighting with insurance companies is no fun. And so why not let somebody who, somebody else deal with that? So you can.
I love what you're saying there. We've been chatting about 15, 20 minutes, and
Mhm,
that would be a very good intro to what you do for the people that watch the first. We know this for sure, first 10 or 15 minutes.
mhm.
But we do have now some guests or some questions from the audience. Can you believe it? We've got questions from the audience? So I know that Americo and Bez are very interested in this topic, and I might bring Bez in. He mentioned yesterday that Rotary, for instance, has a big conference coming up, and that they often go to exotic locations. Bez, what's your take on using a travel agent for this, and what's your take on travel in general?
Well, usually I do my own travel, but now, in listening to our friend here, Lynn, I think, I'm going to do some things differently, because planning travel is sort of a headache, especially if you don't know the ins and outs. And you know, she is an advisor for a reason, right? To give
Mhm.
advice. And but I'm sort of the cheapo where I uh, you know, hop in the car and like, let's drive instead of fly. you know, 10 hours later, I'm like, what did I just do? Um, but yeah, no, I love this. I want to, there's a couple trips I want to do, but one that comes to mind right away is the Rotary International Conference next year in Taipei. Now, I've never been there. So, I'm going to have to find an travel agent that knows a thing or two. Either that, or I'm going to have to go to Instagram and find the influencers that tell me where to go. So one or the other, I'm going to have to find out. But yeah, I'll just land it there. Back to you, Pete.
It's a very look. I'm really interested in this topic, and Hello America will jump in. Let's pick up on this idea of traveling for social connections. Say you're going to go to the Rotary conference. Let's have a chat about that. What does that mean to you? You're going to a foreign land, Taiwan. The capital is Taipei, and
Hmm.
there's a big conference with maybe 1,000 people there. I know that's your
All right.
thing. Tell me
No,
why you. What
16,000 at least.
16,000 people? Like, I mean, you couldn't pay me $1 million to go there.
Woo.
You couldn't
Well,
pay me $1 million to sit in a room with
Keith,
16,000 people.
Keith, I'm
Please
an
test
energy
me on that.
vampire.
Please test me. If you've got a spare million, just try it. If you fly me there business class and breakfast every day, maybe I'll consider it. But tell me, tell me this. Social connections, 16,000 people in a room in a foreign land. What's the go? This is good. This is a very, very strong example of traveling. Why would
Hmm.
you do it? And what are you hoping to achieve? Because when you go and you take the selfies, I want to come back to this show and say that we sowed the seed on this show.
Okay. So, Rotary is 1.4 million members worldwide, and we're a big family, right? I know I've done international global grants all over the world, right? You get to know people through Zoom, electronic communication. We In my year when I was president, 2019, 2020, when COVID hit, we did 4 global grants in Ukraine. They were beautiful, and they are near and dear to my heart. And I got to know the president of that club, which when an invasion took place, I was very worried, but she was okay, so I'm glad for that. But so I have connections there. Once a week, I go to a clubhouse room where Rotarians from all over the world meet. It's called the Rotary Clubhouse Room, and so I know people from all over the United States, all over the world. Um, Also, Rotary has these. Rotary is multifaceted in the type of programs they have. They have fellowships, which means that they're loosely ad hoc organizations formed because of Rotary, but for an interest. Like somebody that I know formed a tea lovers fellowship, right? People who love tea. There's over 100 fellowships from people who drink beer to people who love to travel. There's actually a fellowship for people who like to travel, to people who I don't know if a horse can be driven, but ride horses, to riding my motorcycles and all that, to you name it, everything in between. So you get to know people. And there's nothing like breaking bread or giving that person a nice warm handshake or a hug. And the energy is different, right? And I'll tell you this, Keith, as I give the mic back to you, my wife and I are different. I'm an extrovert, she's an introvert. I finally got it. She told me one day that I was an energy vampire, that I wouldn't quit talking, that I sucked the energy from her. And you know what? She was right. I get energy from people. My wife, people drain her energy. Like there's not only one energy vampire, there's probably a lot of energy vampires that my wife can identify. It's just not only me. So I didn't take it personally. So I'm good. Back to you, Keith.
Well, I can tell you for sure that it would. I don't know what it would take for me to sit in a room with 16,000 people. It'd probably be a lot of money. And I know this for sure because I want to tell you this story. I want to tell you this for sure. Someone in Jamaica in 2019, before COVID, said, "Mate, I'm going to pay you $5,000 to fly to Jamaica and speak for 3 days at a conference." That's a true story that actually happened. And I said, "Oh, okay. What about if I speak online for $500? Then I don't have to fly there." She goes, "Well, why are you throwing away $5,000? I'm giving you $5,000. This actually happened. Well, I tell you what. First of all, I did the pricing, $2,700 to fly there. So there's like nearly $3,000 go. It's $150 to get to the airport. So $150 there, $150 now, $2,700. That's $3,000 gone. Right? Yeah, it's still $2,000. Yeah, but got to stay in a hotel. Right? That's $300 a night. That's 3 nights. That's $1,000. I've got to eat for 3 days. That's $50 a meal times 3 days. I worked it out that I was going to be about $500 ahead, but I would have wasted, in my opinion, a week of my life mostly on planes. And I said, well, I tell you what, I will speak. I spoke 3 times, but give me $500 and I'll speak every day for the entire conference for 1 hour. Maybe a highlight of my career. I didn't have to fly there. I didn't waste $2,700 and 27 hours in planes. And I didn't have to sit at the airport for 6 hours on a couch waiting for the next plane. And I thought, I actually think I came out ahead because I made about the same amount of money clear and I didn't have to go anywhere. You might have thought, well, geez, mate, I'd go there for free. I love people. I give me a ticket, I'd go. But I don't. Right? So we're coming back to this idea of social connections. I know that $5,000 wouldn't be enough because I've already been offered $5,000 and I said no. So I don't know how much it might be. $10,000, maybe $10,000 and business class seats, maybe $10,000. But who's going to pay me $10,000 to go to a conference that 16,000 other people are already going to with their own money, right? So we're just different people, right? But I want to hear more about this because I was telling Lynn about the concept of the Keithy. Without these this is where I'm going to bring in America. Without these types of shows and someone on the other side of the world juicing everyone up, you would never have met Lynn. Now, Lynn might become your travel agent and she might make your trip to Taipei your best adventure in your life. So tell me more about what you think might happen in Taipei and what you'd like to happen, and let's get you and Lynn together to talk about that. And then I want to have photos of that because it hasn't happened yet. It might not happen, but when it does happen, we are conceiving the plan here.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what you want to happen with Taipei.
Well, I want to learn. I want to enjoy myself there. I want to experience the food. I want to experience the sights, the sounds, music, the arts, the just everything. I want to go to a place only locals go. I want to see how's that different than what the tourists see. I want to see the most beautiful part of their country, whatever that may be, and I want to experience it. I want to see it. I want to feel it. I want to smell it. And it better not be a chicken farm, Lynn, please.
No. You want to immerse yourself in the culture, and
let's pick up on this. You've given a very good brief. This is exactly what travel is. This idea of exploration and adventure. Mm-hmm. The education and learning. It's not so much just pure relaxation, sitting on a beach by the pool drinking cocktails, which I've done too. It's Bez wants to learn about the culture and try the food. Tell us about how a travel agent could really play into that. This is a very good discussion to have. We've got a real example we can play with.
Well, that's when, it really does that. This is where the difference lies. I'm going to have access to my suppliers to reach out to. And, whereas the average person that's booking, online, they're not going to have that access to that direct access. And so that is the difference ultimately. That is the difference. And depending on what you want to do, what type of experience, because maybe you want a mix of things. Maybe you want to experience, being immersed into the culture, but maybe you also want to add some luxury components to that too. It just depends. You can, make it how you want to make it. Maybe throw in some tours of, the sites, and, you can, you know, and of course the hotel and all of those things really, and your budget, we want to kind of have an idea of that. So, and all of those things are really important when you're thinking about booking a trip, and especially a big trip like that one. It is good that you have the time to plan ahead, because I would definitely say when you're planning a large trip like that, you do want to plan ahead for sure. There's a lot that goes into it. You want to make sure you have your passport, you know, all of those. And if even if you do, make sure that it's up to date, you know. So there's a lot that goes into the planning, and getting the right type of trip, something that you can enjoy. And especially when you're and let's face it, it's not cheap to travel, certainly not cheap to do your flights. Hopefully, what I do tell a lot of my clients too, if you do have if you have credit cards that have air miles and all, that is a great thing to have, because it can save. And there are many ways to save with flights, even with certain suppliers. It's better to book your flight with the supplier sometimes, because sometimes they have planned ahead, and they know how many flights they're going to have for the year, and so they work that out with the airlines, and sometimes it's cheaper.
And
So
what could you do with something like 16,000 people? Have you got some scale for us? Like if you had
Oh, now that you could even with this, and I don't know, because we'll have to discuss budget, but you could even charter a plane for that, and it's not as expensive as you might think. So that's also another possibility.
the rotary jet, it could be
I
a
mean,
party. It could be a party plane. Just
I mean,
everyone.
it's
Imagine that.
yeah, it's actually it could be a lot cheaper. So sometimes that actually could work out to be the better deal.
Yeah.
So
So maybe I can round up some Rotarians, put them on the same plane. Make sure we take the CEO, VPs, general secretary, all of them on the same plane, correct?
yeah,
And no, they would never do that.
that would.
But think about the possibilities here.
Mhm.
I know friends of mine that go to conventions not because of the things they'll learn, but because of the people they'll meet.
Yes.
Now imagine you're sitting on a plane and it's a 6-hour flight, and you're sitting on a plane, and you've got to be on the plane anyway. But the person next to you is the president of a Rotary chapter up the road from you. Now you've got something in common straight away, and you as you call it, breaking bread.
Right.
Now, if you talk about social connections as a type of concept for travel, we really have a totally different story now.
Yep.
Travel because you can meet people, you can learn new things, and imagine, Bez, what could happen. And I'm a sort of I'm a futurist. I'm not a classicist. I'm already thinking about what is going to happen as a result. I can see you in Taipei. I can see you in a group of Rotarians hanging out. It's not hard to do. I've done it 12 times. I've already done it. I've done it. So the way our relationship works is I come up with the idea and Carol does the work. It's a pretty good deal. So Carol says to me, "Where do you want to go next, Keith?" Canada. All right, I'll do that. So she organises it because she's a Capricorn, and I just turn up. And here we are in Banff. And I said, "Congratulations, you did that." "Yeah, well, you didn't do much." I said, "Well, I came, didn't I? I'm here. I'm with you. You've got a companion." Because I'm never going to do that. I'm an Aquarian, right? I'm hopeless at organising things. Hopeless. And I just wouldn't. If it was left to me, I just wouldn't do it because I'm just not an organised person. And so Carol does it. We go and we have a great time, and then we come back and she says, "Okay, that's good. Tick. We've been to Canada now. Now where?" "Oh, well, what about if we go to Mexico?" "Okay, well, let's do that." No, I said, I'm a bit tried, but we save our guts out for a year, and then we just get on a plane and we go, and there we are in Mexico. Here we are in Mexico. Look at me. And it starts with an idea. You just don't wake up one day and say, "Hey, we're going to Taipei today." It takes planning. Now you can do the planning, and I know how this feels because Carol is doing it every weekend for a year on the laptop in the kitchen, which does cause some tension. Or you can just say, "Look, can you organise that? I don't know where to go. I don't know where to stay. I don't know what to eat. Can you organise the money and the insurance, and how much is that?" And the chances are that the savings that you get because they have deals means that it in effect costs you virtually nothing. So, mate, I can't wait to see this happen. I want to see this happen. You want to go. I want you to go. I want to come out the other side and see a picture of you in Taipei, knowing that we organised this here right now.
I want to go.
So there it is. Take it up a notch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just went to Bing.com and I put Taipei, and it's like, then it says, actually at the very top, it says overview, and then the next button was things to do. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's a beautiful country, but I'm going to have
Sherry
someone.
is from Taipei.
Who?
Sherry.
Oh, she is? I thought she was from New Zealand.
She's Taiwanese.
Oh, Taiwanese. Okay.
So she's a Taiwanese person living in New Zealand, but she's from Taipei. Or she might not be from Taipei, but she's been to Taipei, obviously. If
she's Taiwanese. Okay, got it.
So I'm fascinated by this because let's not take it for granted that everyone loves travel. Between you and me, I don't. I don't like it. I go because Carol loves it. I don't like it, but I'm happy to do it as a husband, as a sort of a compassionate companion. But I'd rather stay home and watch Netflix. I got to be honest, I would. But so that's why I'm asking this question really diligently. Why do we travel? And we travel because we love seeing new things, meeting new people, trying new food. We want to relax. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I mean, I'm just the sort of the conduit today. And if you want to know more about this, I want you to contact Lynn, seasandfun.com. It's the coolest website I think I've ever heard of. seasandandfun.com. What do you think, Americo? I've been rambling on about this, but what's your take on travel? And would you do it yourself, or have you considered using a travel agent?
Here's my thought on travel agents and the whole travel experience. I can't wrap my head around why the industry has decided to make available an option that is customer enabled. It's the one industry where it costs nothing for that customer, to Lynn's point, to make those arrangements for you. And the peace of mind that comes with that service is like no other. But I've had friends where it's happened. You think you're going to save all this money. You're going to go on TripAdvisor and you're going to organize a cruise. Happened real story. A friend of mine planned a family vacation, wife, husband, and 2 kids, wanted to go on a cruise. My friend's wife believed, you know what, I'm going to plan this. I'm going to go on TripAdvisor. We're going to save so much money, and we'll take that money and we'll use it as our spending fund. And lo and behold, she books the cruise and saves a few dollars by, I got us a flight to Orlando. All we got to do is find our way to Miami. Well, if you're good at geography and you're good at timing distance, you realize that your flight and the time that ship leaves, you're not going to make it in time. They learned the hard way. They got to Miami, they missed their boat, had to make travel arrangements to fly to the first port and meet up with the ship. It cost them a fortune.
Absolutely.
Right? So good intentions, but the impact is detrimental. And listen, you talked about insurance. I spent well over close to 20 years in insurance alone. And yeah, people will try to nickel and dime you to get the lowest possible coverage or no coverage. No, you know what? We're in good health. It don't matter if you're in good health. You can get hit by a bus getting off, crossing the street. It's not you got to worry about. It's what surrounds you that you got to worry about. So use the travel agents. Travel agents in Canada, and I'm sure in the US, there's regulatory and there's governance around travel. In Canada, there's TICO, which protects consumers, provided that they use a travel agent. If an airline goes defunct, if something happens to your travels that wasn't as purchased or part of your itinerary, you're protected. But if you do it on your own, you forego all of that protection.
And not wise. It's just not wise.
It's not.
For the reason you said. And you know what, America, I hate to say it, but that story is really quite common. And a lot of, if you don't know, you don't know.
You don't know. Absolutely.
That's the moral of the story, and that's why you do.
And you can yell and scream at customer service, and they're going to tell you, it's like, you got exactly what you purchased. There is no error. You bought a flight to Orlando. We gave you what you requested. Don't come crying to us now that you missed you missed that boat in Miami.
Well, I want to share a really cool story about this. This is a very, very indicative story of why we, go with a travel agent and Intrepid Travel in our case. So we did this trip in China, 25 days, 2005. Very exhausting, but I've been to China now. It was, I still remember 20 years ago, but bloody hell, it was a big trip. So the trip starts, the way we typically do it is that we arrive about 3 days early, settle in, allow a day or two to get over the jet lag and any problems in flights. And then we start the trip maybe on a Thursday. We might fly in on a Monday, and then the trip ends and we stay a couple extra days at the end. Right? So this American couple from LA, this trip started on a Thursday, and the first day we were going to Great Wall. Like that's the point of the trip. We're going to the Great Wall of China on the first day. We meet on the Thursday night, and on Friday we get in a bus and we go to the Great Wall. We spend all day at the Great Wall. Maybe one of the highlights of my life. I've got really cool photos of that. And they arrive, they say, on Wednesday night. But guess what? The plane is delayed. Oh no, the plane's delayed. So they arrived Friday morning. They missed the bus. The whole point of the trip is to go to the Great Wall, and they missed the bus. Right? So they completely missed the Great Wall. And they just found a way to get to the next city, and they just had to write it off. And Carol and I are thinking, I'm so glad we arrived a couple of days early. Why would you do that? Like, why would you arrive 2 hours before the tour starts? Why would you do that? I mean, why would you? And that's the sort of thing a travel agent might say, well, hang on, have you considered just staying extra night, just in case the plane's delayed, or, might have a bit of jet lag, or maybe you're a bit tired? No, 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 no. No, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing this myself. You got people like that just want to do everything themselves, save the maximum amount of money, but they just don't have the right experience. Please jump in if you want to talk about this, because I just love traveling with Intrepid Travel. We've done it 12 times. Love it is a strong word, but the point is, in the context of traveling, which my wife loves, this is the most convenient way.
And,
Have you got stories of this stuff, Lynn, of people that have come to you as a bit of a disaster relief after things have gone wrong, or do you mitigate all of that so you only have happy stories?
well, I mean, you know, with travel, unfortunately, things happen. I mean, they can. Like I said, with my previous client, I was just talking about, excuse me, with the flight that was diverted from landing at London Heathrow because of the fire that they had. That can happen, but for the most part, it is it's most travel is fairly goes off without a hitch for the most part, right? Occasionally there are those things, and hopefully you do take your travel agent's advice and get the insurance. But if you if you don't, you'll be in a world of hurt. But yes, sometimes they do go awry. That is for sure. I just kind of lost my train of thought. Did you ask me something else besides that?
I'm just very interested in the idea of solo travel or solo preparation travel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, with solo travel is up, and it's even it's up 12%, I think, for cruises. I think it's up by I think it's up 6% from last year. So it is on the rise. That's another aspect of travel that's huge. It's becoming bigger because, frankly, a lot of young people are putting marriage off, so they are traveling solo. And then you have a lot of new travel trends. And one of the new ones, and Keith, I think we've discussed this before, but train travel is another form of travel that has become hugely popular. I mean, and in fact, Amtrak, I don't know if you guys know this, but they've got a new a next gen high speed train that's coming out August 28th, and it is and not only with this investment that because it's going to be Taj Mahal, and they're going to have even more coming out in the years to follow. So they're investing huge in this, and I think this alone was going to create 15,000 jobs for So that travel creates a lot of jobs too. By the way, it really does. So the travel industry, it's big, and it does it. It contributes, makes the country, makes the world go round.
I love this. We're live, as you may know, we're live on LinkedIn and YouTube. Do you know many people, Lynn, that travel for social connections? The idea that people they may have met online, but want to meet in person. Have you heard of this type of traveling? A lot of people travel to see family and friends, but while they're there, they also go off on their own. Have you heard this as a bit of a subplot for some people?
Well, I did, one of our local, right here in LinkedIn, Shelley, I think she did go travel socially to not too long ago. Yeah.
Where was that? Serbia, Croatia?
Yes.
Bosnia. She went to a LinkedIn conference, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. So, yes, it does happen. I mean, people do. They do travel in that sense, and you know, that is I'd like to do that myself, honestly.
Do you want to pick up on this, America? You said that you travelled a lot for work, which is a sort of a similar vibe. Can you tell us what that felt? I've never done this, but can you tell me what this feels like to go travelling for work and then stay a few extra days, or did you lament the fact that you didn't take advantage of that in your career?
I didn't take advantage of that earlier in my career because I was just in a different place. I wanted to rush home and be with the local crowd. But as I matured, it's like, hold on a second, I'm missing an opportunity here, because if I were to pay to fly across my country out of my pocket, this would cost me $400 or $500 to get across the country, and then I'd have to put myself up in a hotel. So that didn't really pick up until the tail end of it, but it is a great way for both social connection, for just, you talk about showing up 2 or 3 days earlier on a vacation. There's no reason why you can't do that for work, right?
I
Why
love this.
I
Yeah.
started to realize, and I hate it. It's like I am rushing from an aircraft into a cab, into a conference room or a meeting room, to my hotel room, back in a cab, back on an airplane. It's like, well, I didn't get any rest in between.
And you
Right?
didn't see the
And
town.
that's the
Oh,
goal.
look, I know people who fly into Kuala Lumpur, and I says, "Oh, look, there's a really, really, really cool area." Oh, I haven't got time for that. I'm at the airport. I'm meeting people at the airport. Then I'm going to the hotel. I've got 3 conferences and 3 meetings. And I'm getting back on the plane. I said, "Well, why go there?" Oh, well, the meeting in person's the thing. Flying all the way from LA, and that's going to take you so long. Why don't you just stay a few days? Oh, I haven't got time for that. What about you, Bez? Have you ever done a bit of travelling for work and stayed a bit extra, or do you wish you had done more of that, or is that something you'd like to do more of?
Well, yes and no. Usually it's in and out, but there are times I have gotten a day earlier or stayed a day extra, and it's more relaxing. You don't feel so tired, because have you ever felt like where you went on a trip and you needed, like, even a vacation, where you went on vacation and you needed a vacation from the vacation, and that's
That
because
happens to me as
everything was
well.
so
Mhm.
yeah, because that's everything's so compact. It's like back to back to back, and there's no time to even unwind. Um, those That was the norm, as our kids were young. We would go on these mini vacations, and my wife would want, okay, well, this day we're going here, next day we're going there. And I'm like, get back from the vacation. I'm like, I need a week. But it was one of the best vacations I ever took was when my wife said, okay, you get the campsite at I think it was San Luis Obispo. um, and there was it was Pismo Beach. It was a campsite there, and it was a famous one. And so I made the mistake of a week before or 2 weeks before, going to reserve it, and they're all booked. So I called the campsite. I go, "What's going on? It's all booked." They say, "Oh, once the campsites open up 6 months before, they pretty much all get booked." I'm like, "Oh my goodness." So here I am trying to do whatever, and I asked them, "Well, are there any cancellations?" He goes, "Well, yeah, you can come, and the day of, you never know." And so what we ended up doing was I couldn't even find a hotel in San Luis Obispo, which is right next to Pismo Beach. I had to go inland a little bit to this place called the Tascadero, and all I could get was a Motel 6 that smelled like smoke. So every day we would get up. I know you're laughing, huh? We were motivated to not be in that hotel, not a hotel, it's like a freaking motel with a capital M, okay? And we would head out early, go grab breakfast, go explore the different spots, and we would actually ask the locals, "Hey, where should we go?" And so literally, we went wherever the wind blew us, and we would make sure we had our swimming trunks. We would go, oh, this this little cove in the beach that nobody knows about would get recommended. Oh, this seafood joint over here that the locals go to because we're a big seafood lover family. I mean, we would literally, wherever the locals recommended, we would go. And we'd go on these excursions. We'd come back as late as possible because, that stinky motel with a capital M. And as someone says, I used to live at Atascadero. There's a cool zoo there. Well, what happened is best vacation I ever took. We drove to that area, San Luis Obispo, Atascadero, and a quaint little town, Atascadero. But we just traveled from there, and best vacation ever. Best, because you know what? I actually got to rest in my vacation. And when the wind blows you, it's pretty chill and pretty relaxed. It's not so stressful. Back to you.
Oh, I love this discussion.
Lynn's
I just
laughing
love
over here. Lynn's laughing because I stayed in a motel, capital M, Motel 6 that smelled like smoke.
I could just picture it.
Oh, it's horrible. Oh my!
And there are people that just
You have
like to
little
take
kids.
off and plan. I get that. I totally get that. Like just take off and plan. Don't plan. Just go. I'm not a sort of turn up and see what happens type of guy. I need to know exactly what I'm doing 4 weeks ahead.
But
I'm not a-
imagine if you tried from a different plate and you didn't plan and you asked the locals, where should I go next? And then when you got there, you did your thing, you explored, asked the locals there, hey, where should I eat next? Where should I go next? And the accumulation of all the little things you did makes it a wonderful vacation. Now, I don't recommend it because, imagine if it just turned out good for us. I don't know what to say. Going back and thinking when my kid small and, we would take these vacations and you'd have to take a vacation from a vacation. That's the only one I remember where I enjoyed it, and we threw our watches. We just put them our wristwatches away. We didn't need them. We didn't need them.
No, you like to do a bit of this, Americo. Do you want to pick up on this? I can't do this. I have to know exactly what I'm doing 4 weeks ahead.
Yeah, I'm keen on the spontaneity. Now, spontaneity works best within your own borders or neighboring borders. So I can say, you know what? I mentioned this yesterday. We're heading down to Florida. I don't know when we'll get there, but we'll have, we'll check for availability. Maybe we'll stop in South Carolina. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll stay in Virginia. We're just going to go at our own pace and know that, give us enough head time. As long as we get there in 2 or 3 days, we'll book from that time forward. And that is great because the only thing I have to worry about is where I'm stopping. I'm familiar with the currency. The exchange is easy. Now, it becomes a little harder. I can't, wake up one morning, turn over and look at my fiance and say, hey, how about we go to Mexico today? Well, that would never happen. Right? Even though better currency, perhaps better options, depending on who you're asking. But that level of spontaneity may not be exercised. I would be open to it. But, going back to the whole travel agent and the importance of travel agents, another thing that people don't consider, spontaneous or not, is the logistics behind travel. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'll bring my local currency, no worries. Then you realize, Canadian dollar versus American dollar or versus the British pound, I didn't bring enough money.
Yeah.
Then you're stuck in a country, which I've seen happen. There are countries that have an embargo. You show up in Cuba with an American Express. Sorry, we can't take that. Yeah, but it was issued in a Canadian bank. It doesn't matter. We can't take it. So you really need to know the logistics behind travel. If you whether you want to be spontaneous or even plan ahead, and a travel agent will help you with that.
I love this discussion. We've got a few. Amy, Jeremy, Mark, jump in if you want to speak. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you travel. Do you travel for work? Do you travel for business? Do you like to travel just for fun, or just take it as it comes? And how does that relate to your star sign? But I'm very interested in this, Lynn. It's just such a fascinating topic, isn't it? How did you come up with your tagline, your URL, sea, sand, and fun? It's very, very cool, isn't it?
Well, I definitely wanted something that was memorable. And so as I was, certainly I wanted something that was affordable because, a lot of these URLs you do have to purchase and pay for monthly. So I needed to find something that I could use, that was affordable, that I could, and that was catchy, and fun. Because I think that is ultimately travel should be all of those things. And I of course, I love the water. I'm a beach tropical girl all day. So, that is definitely in one of my favorites. Is just give me the beach and a tropical drink any day, of course. And of course, I do like to explore as well. I'm all about history. I want to, if I'm, especially like when I visited Norway last year, that was they had a lot of it was very interesting learning about their history there. And that's the land of Vikings, and we did get to do some really cool tours. That one in particular was a walking tour, and it was just, you can just see how beautiful that area is there. It's just gorgeous. And one thing about that I was really impressed with in Norway is they are very much into preserving, and they're really in the fight for the environment. And I think you really do have to be careful standing in the streets there, because you're not going to hear cars go by, because most of their vehicles are electric. And so you do have to watch out. So they're extremely intellectual, very welcoming, kind people, and the pastries were fabulous. And
that is one of the things that traveling does give you, the food.
Yeah.
When I went to Italy, I hope there's no Italians on the call, but I got really, 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 really angry because, well, first of all, we're vegetarians, but second of all, they don't have any other food there. I said, okay, well, look, I've had pizza every day for a week. Do you have a Thai restaurant? No, we don't have any other restaurants. This is Italy, mate. We eat Italian food. Yeah, I know that. But surely you've got an Indian restaurant, or, a Greek restaurant, or can I get a falafel? No. We have pizza and pasta and gnocchi. Yeah, but I had that. I had that for a week. I had a pizza every night for a week. I want something else? Well, you can't have anything else. This is Italy. I got really, really angry, and it made me realize that in Melbourne, I've got, you name any country in the world, A to Z, we have a restaurant here. Melbourne is the coolest place in the world. Every restaurant in the world is represented here. Any nationality you can think of, there is a restaurant here. So just every night we go, where do you want to go on the weekend? Maybe Nepalese. Okay, well, we went Nepalese last week. What about Vietnamese? I think we had Vietnamese last week or the week before. What about Malaysian? Yeah, look, I haven't had Malaysian for a few weeks. Yeah, let's go Malaysian. This is the life we live. Mm-hmm. So we're in Italy, and they go, what's for tea? Well, you know what's for tea, Keith. It's pizza or pasta. That's all. That's only two choices. And I'm with vegetarians, there's two different types of sauces and there's two different types of pizzas. There it is. And I had them all within 4 days. So after a week, I'm scratching my head going, I really, really, really feel like a Thai curry or a falafel. Wouldn't it be good to have an Indian curry or some naan bread?
Well, adversely, let me tell you a personal story that happened to me, because Toronto's similar to what you're explaining in Melbourne. Very diverse, very rich in culture, and the food options are just endless. And there used to be a Mexican restaurant that I used to frequent close to one of my offices when I was working. And I would rave and, recommend, hey, if you want real authentic Mexican food, you got to go to this particular place. And then I went to Mexico. And it's like, wow, this is horrible. I was expecting better food in Mexico, seeing how it's Mexican food in Mexico. And it turns out it's like, no, this is what Mexican food is supposed to taste like. You're eating a westernized version of Mexican food. And it turns out I hate cilantro.
Yeah.
But,
friends of ours love Mexican, and they go, look, Keith, I know this place is authentic, but... What do you mean, but? It's authentic. It's Mexican food that you'd get in Mexico. Yeah, but I don't like that. I want the anglicized, westernized version that I've been having for 20 years with, refried beans out of a can. Okay. Well,
Taco Bell.
That's if that's what you want, then go for that. But that's not authentic. I don't care about authentic, Keith. I know what I like.
Yeah.
But I'm just really fascinated by this process. Food is one of the highlights of traveling. It's just one of the highlights because, hello, Annie, jump in if you want. Hello, Joshua. Hello, Jeremy. Very welcome. Give me some street tacos anytime, Amy. Okay, I get you. So I'll send some of people some links. We can have up to 6 people on stage. But
hey, I'm going to check out, Keith, so someone can take my spot.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's my wife's birthday today. And
oh wow!
I'm gonna.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, well, thank you. And I told her that once she's. So, Lynn, you might like this joke because there is a club you can check into that once you check in, you can never check out, and that's the 50 Club. Okay, and so she's checking into it, and she can't check out. So.
Welcome to the Hotel California.
Oh, if she heard that, she would.
But you can never leave. Now there's the 50 Club. You can't go back. So we won't go back.
You can't check me out. Yeah, it's a unique club, and so yeah, we've been. She had to work today, so we ate dinner, took a break. I got her some cake, and so you're probably just gonna hang out, watch a movie or something.
But we've started. We've started. You owe it to us now to take this on. You don't have to go to Taipei. We're not making you go. But if you want to go, we're 100% behind helping. If you want to go, we're 100% behind helping you go. So we've set the tone.
I wanted to plan it well. So thank you. I want to plan it well because, like Amy Power says, I actually like Tascadero. Is a nice, quaint town. I didn't like their Motel 6. They it could have been better, but there was a nice, quaint town. It was our home base for about a week, and we went explored. That whole area was very beautiful, and take street tacos any day. They're the best. You got to build a stomach made of steel for that, but it can be done. And I miss the food from California. Now I live in Georgia. They don't, they have good food here, but I have to go down to Atlanta to go get that food. And I live up in the sticks, evading the FBI and a bunch of 3-letter agencies. So I'm, don't tell anybody where I'm at. Hey guys. Hey, by the way, Lynn, I actually lived in Montgomery for 4 years. As a kid. So actually outside of Montgomery in the country, I learned to swim in rivers, streams, creeks, and ponds and lakes. And the first time I swam in a pool was in a university Olympic-sized pool, and I saw the bottom, and I hyperventilated
Oh,
because I
wow.
could see that black streak in the bottom. And I'm like, who knows how many feet were the lakes and rivers I swam in? But yeah, Alabama, interesting times when I was a kid. But good food, good boiled peanuts was the best part. I mean, they make some good boiled peanuts, and whether you call
Oh,
it
yeah.
pecan or pecan pie, pecan, I don't know what's the right way.
Pecan pie.
Yeah.
Wow,
Well, I'll
sure.
let you guys go. Yeah, no. Hey, bless heart. Is it good or bad?
Oh, it's said every day
Uh,
here for sure.
So,
yeah.
Pez, you're welcome anytime, and as you know, and have happy birthday to your wife. And I want to see this develop, so I'll keep talking to you in the back channel about this, and we'll just bring it out. Takes about a year to plan
Yeah.
this stuff, but it will happen.
Oh, yeah, better plan now. Yeah. Well, I'll see you guys later. And thank you for the hospitality. We got Lynn with the Southern hospitality. We got Keith with the hey mate, hey, good on you hospitality. We've got Americo, man. Canadians are super nice. You don't need to apologize for anything. You guys are awesome. And with that, I'll check out and I'll catch you on the flip side.
Nice.
So, as you may know, this is a social audio show. So, Amy, could you turn your camera off and add your avatar? And we'll create this sort of bit of this is the way we do the show now, this sort of vibe. And while I'm waiting for that to happen, Americo, you've got some very interesting stats about virtual events. I'm very fascinated by this. Just so fascinated. Virtual events are 10 times more powerful on LinkedIn than any other post or any other platform type. And I'm really interested in where you got those stats and how that can happen. So what we've decided to do is we've decided to do audio-only events for all those people that don't want to go on camera. And this is the theme that my shows will have. Just a picture and your audio. So, but tell us about audio events and LinkedIn audio events. They're just killing it at the moment, aren't they?
They are killing it. And kind of piggybacking on yesterday's insights that I had learned, where written content, when measured 3 days after it's posted, is 10% of it is retained after 3 days, where visual content and audible content is retained 65% if you use that same 3-day window. So I went digging a little deeper, had a connection that I made who wants to meet up with me and asked me, hey, do you have some quantifiable data that backs up your hypothesis? Like, I have my own events and I have the analytics for my own events, but I felt, okay, here's an opportunity. I got to go digging deeper and look and research for this information. And I'm going to put it out in my content just to help bring value to this chart, because this chart is a summary of the research that I found. But yes, virtual events, 41% engagement compared to the next highest multi-image post, so the carousel, which was at 6.6% engagement. That is dramatic. It's an astonishing drop from what we're doing to what the next highest engagement is. And people, and we're seeing it come across our feeds, everyone is kind of disappointed in what look and feel LinkedIn is starting to exhibit: low engagement, low visibility. But similarly to what happened to the audio rooms, we have to learn to adapt and adopt to what LinkedIn is doing. We either got to keep up or we're going to be left behind. And I encourage someone today, I engaged in someone's post who was going on about LinkedIn, and I'm starting to share my thoughts. Every once in a while, it is healthy to do a little bit of housekeeping, If you're following groups that are no longer relevant to you, remove them. If you're following people who are no longer aligned with you, remove them. A lot of people like following gurus, but if you fill up your account with gurus, that's all you're going to see. Day in and day out, you're going to doom scroll, and all you're going to see are people telling you what to do, how to 10 times your visibility. And it's a lot of stuff that may not be relevant. So if you're here and you want visibility for your personal brand and you want visibility for your business, you got to change your strategy, because your carousels are only going to get you so far. Polls, like if you combine the 6 and even average it out, it's still not anything comparable to live events, regardless if they're audio or on camera.
Yeah, I love this because we have a passion for what we do, and we want to find out how to get information in. Amy, tell us what you're doing. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And hello from Wyoming, Kendra. Come in if you want to talk. I'll bring you in a minute. But tell us your thoughts about traveling and the idea of just winging it, because I can tell you for sure that's not my strong suit. But tell me, Amy, what's your thing? You love just winging it, jumping in the car and going somewhere?
I mean, making a plan of where to stay, but then kind of winging the rest of it. Maybe doing a little bit of pre-planning, like knowing what's around. But one time my daughter and I stayed at an inn that actually housed a raw food cooking school. I mean, not cooking, obviously, because it's raw food, but we stayed there, and the only other plans we had, I think, was to go horseback riding on the beach. But everything else, we just kind of wandered around. We went for a run one night, and then went and watched a cheap movie, I think it was Spider-Man or something, because it was cheap movie night. But we had no idea that was there. And then another time we stayed at a hostel in Point Reyes, which is north of San Francisco. We went to the beach, and some ship had kind of sliced a whale in half. And so the whale carcass was on the beach. And my daughter thought that was really cool. So she wanted to take a piece of the whale home, but we didn't allow that.
It's very brave. I know you love doing this, Americo, and this idea of planning a couple of nights and then just winging it after that. No worries. I think that makes a lot of sense. Within the US, or could you do that overseas? Have you done it overseas? Could you arrive in Tokyo and just wing it for a month?
My daughter probably does that. So she travels a lot. She's lived overseas, but she usually has a couple places in mind, and then she just wanders around exploring the area. Now she does a lot of camping because she lives in San Diego. So she just goes to different camping spots. But yeah, we haven't done it overseas. I haven't been overseas since I was a teenager, but she's been to Puerto Rico and different places, and she's lived in the Dominican Republic. So she's just used to going places. But one time we went somewhere because we want to see Bodega Bay, where The Birds was filmed. So we saw that house that's in the schoolhouse, I think it is, that's in that. And then also there, we had no idea that there's a marine biology place for UC Davis, which is one of the UC schools in California. They had a free tour that day. So we spent 3 hours there, and we get to touch animals, marine animals and stuff, and wander around and look at stuff for 3 hours. And we had no idea that was there. And we just happened to cross it because we were there on that day. And one time we happened to cross a little tiny aquarium, and my daughter got to feed sea stars. And, you just never know what you're going to come across when you just kind of wander around the area and see what there is. You might ask a visitor center or something like that, but you might just pull out a map and see what's there.
I love this. That's amazing. And not my thing, but I can totally understand why it would work. I'm a planner. I've got shows planned twice a week till the end of September. I cannot. I'm just not a wing it type of guy. It's just not the way my brain works. But I'm sure that I wouldn't die if I just turned up to town and said, "Okay, what are you doing? Where can we eat tonight?" and et cetera, et cetera. Kendra, if you'd like to join us, you're very welcome. We're not connected, you and I, but I think you are connected to Americo, so I'd love to. We can only send the link to people that are directly our contacts, and I don't have premium, so I can't send you one in mail. But Americo, you could send the files.
I will send it to her if she'd like to come up.
Yep. And Annie's there, and Joshua's there, and Jeremy's there, and quite a few people in the back channel. And what I'm really interested in picking up on what happened yesterday, Americo, we've been chatting for about an hour and a half. Where do you think we could take this information and keep it moving for those that are interested in travel and finding out more about what Lynn does? You've been using Substack. Do you want to tell us a bit about how that work has been working for you?
Oh my goodness. I just uploaded last week's episode of the strategy session that I host with Kendra. And within minutes, I had 8 shorts that I could share to choose from. I converted I haven't yet, but I'm working on converting my the video into a blog and repurposing that. And it's just saved me so much time. I had the conversation. It was recorded on Restream. I take that particular episode, loaded it up, and I have all this content just waiting for me to repurpose somewhere. And I can't speak enough about Substack. I shared this same or similar sentiment with Kendra today. It is fantastic. She's currently working on editing today's show. I was a guest on her podcast today, so she may not be or have the time to join us, but she's listening.
I think this is important because one of the pain points that we have as creators is that we have so much content. We naturally have so much content, and it's very difficult to massage the time to do the content and create sort of variations on it. So I do these long form shows, and I've got to be honest, I am struggling with the idea of how to break that up. And in a way, I don't want to. I want people to come to the show live and chat to me now. I personally don't care if they watch the replay. I want them to come right now and comment right now because I'm an in the moment type of guy. But it's very important. This conversation of why we travel and the various ways to travel is an important topic to share, and it will create a replay. And I'm just fascinated by how people might use it. Lynn, how do you think you might use this new format of live events, and how will you leverage it after that?
Well, I do. I'm really curious about how. I'd love to know how when you go on Substack, how you take the, like, say this show, how would you put it? How does it? Do you just? I mean, how does that happen? Because I do have Substack, but I don't know what I'm doing with it. So
when you're creating a post, so for instance, we're off camera. Ideally, this would make either a great podcast episode or text post, and Substack gives you the option of doing that. So you have the option of adding a text post, a video post, and an audio post. So if you were to download the audio, it will transcribe the audio from today's episode and give you blog suggestions, or you can simply, put in a description, a preface, just highlighting the conversation and invite people to read the transcript. Like you can make it whatever you feel your audience would attract themselves to and spend time. Or you break it up into paragraphs and bite-sized morsels that you can repurpose over a longer period of time. Hey, and always inviting people, like if you're just going to take snippets, here's what Keith shared with us on the episode I was a guest on. And if you're interested in listening to the whole episode, here's the link, or visit Keith's events page. So there's just so much, and it's so easy. It's I'm almost ashamed to say that I only learned about this tool weeks ago. And I'm an analytics guy. I'm not a math major, but I love data. And when I look at the data and the visibility that these posts are getting, now I knew the numbers from the onset were a little high because it was a smaller sample. So now I'm starting to populate and get a larger sample of content. And Substack is starting to recognize my tone, my persona. So it's giving me a bigger library of shorter posts to choose from. When I did this a week ago, I was getting 2. Then I got 4 suggested shorts. Today, I uploaded 1 episode. I have 8 video clips to choose from for repurposing. And they're all fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
But when you compare, I think what really astonishes me, and I have a very small community, very few subscribers, and I'll be honest and transparent, single digit following. Like, this is brand new. But you look at the open rate, and I got posts here that have 100% open rate.
Wow.
Right?
The stats, it's very, very, very important, because we've chatted about a lot of things, and Lynn knows her stuff. And there'll be people on this call that'll say, mate, I need to know who that is. Who is it? Can you tell me about it? And it seems a shame to lose it because they weren't here. Substack does that very, very well. And we talk in great length about Substack over and over again. And yesterday we had this game-changing show about this. Game-changing show. Went for 3 hours. And we will do more shows on this. I've got a blog about it. I've got a little Google notebook thing. One thing you can do, Lynn, I want you to start doing this, is that Google Notebook LM gives you an audio summary of all of your content. So whenever you do a show, you can feed that into Google Notebook, and it will give you a 10-minute summary. Now, I've got plenty of these, really lots and lots and lots of these on my SoundCloud account. It's very easy to do. It takes about 5 minutes, and maybe it's a bit of cheating, but the point is we've chatted for an hour and a half, and a lot of people don't have time to listen to the whole thing. But wouldn't it be good if we could give them a 5 minutes high-level highlights thing about it? And do you want to pick up on this, Americo? Because I think we're onto something here. I mean, this idea of these high-level summaries, don't you think?
Yeah, and it circles back to the marketing analogy, to show up where your audience is, show up where your customers are. And not everyone will invest 3 hours in listening to us. We know what the average consumption is. But if you repurpose and create content for a wider audience, for those, you can create written for those who like reading. You can create audio for those who enjoy listening. And we got video in those cases where people like watching. And if you get into the habit of repurposing this, you're going to widen your reach. Yeah. You're going to widen your visibility. And as a business owner, that's important, to repurpose that message. And that Notebook LM, it is, on point. It picks up and summarizes and it puts together a well-orchestrated conversation. It's AI, but I think we're all transparent. No one's saying, hey, listen to me having this conversation with this other person. But it does the trick. People are now consuming AI-generated content, and it's gaining authority, and it's helping us build trust.
Yeah. The thing that's very important for me, very important, and I'm going to be completely transparent here. I want people to come to the show. That's what I want. That's my end game. And my highest score is 6 hours, 600 people. That's my highest score. I sat in a chair for 6 hours and 600 people turned up. That's my highest score. But I get that not everyone has 6 hours and they can't turn up. That doesn't suit me, but I get it. So I create these little summaries, not for myself, but for them. I want to hear what you said, but I don't have 6 hours. Can you give me the absolute high level highlights? Which of course is nothing like the show, but it's a 5-minute version of a 6-hour show. Of course, it's going to be very truncated, but it's 5 minutes. So AI, this is a very good use case for AI. It's nothing like the show. It's an American guy and an American girl talking in an AI generated voice about me. Pretty cool. Like, it's pretty cool. I do like listening to them, but it's not me talking, and it's not the show. But not everyone can come to the show. So we use AI now to do these summaries. I use Google Notebook, but now Substack is doing this as well, because I know that there's a lot of people that they just want to listen to something for 5 minutes while they're going to work or waiting for their coffee. And we live in a fast-paced world, and 6 hours is a long time. But America, I think we're onto something here. We're sharing really good information. It's very from the heart, and if you can come live, I'd prefer that. But not everyone can come live. So we're sort of covering all bases now, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're content talking to and engaging with 25% of the population who consumes content in a variety of means and methods, and you're fine with that. But for those who, maybe let me rephrase myself. You now take what you enjoy, the audience that you enjoy, and you come up with an audible version that's there for their consumption, for them to consume at times that are convenient for them, in sizes that are convenient for them. And the same thing is happening with what I'm doing with Substack. I enjoy these audible events, but now I have the luxury. Like, I'll be the first to admit, I might not be the best writer. I don't enjoy writing, but I can now take a transcript and have a blog created that summarizes what we spoke about and touches on the key takeaways. For those who enjoy reading, I'm now getting better visibility with the written summary, and I'm no longer competing. And I can't stress this enough. I'm no longer competing with content ideas. Don't have to come up with subject matter to talk about on a show and then come up with different ideas to write about on a written post. They all complement each other.
This is very important. This is very, very important. I have decided, and Americo is quite right, I have decided that I love audio, and I'm going to lean in and specialize in audio. I only do audio because I love it, and there's only one of me. So I specialize in audio, and only 25% of people enjoy this format. So I'm deciding to miss out on the 75% of people that want me to talk on the video or write about it, because I don't have the time, and there's only one of me. But probably the much more sensible approach would be to say, well, wouldn't it be good if we had a tool that could do the audio for the 25%, write a blog post for the 25% of people that like to write, and do videos for the 50% of people that want to see videos? I mean, you have the idea right down there, and so you are right to mention it that way. But I'm very confident with what I do, and I've decided, even though I'm missing out on 75% of the market, I'm very, very good at the 25%. And it's sort of like a specialization versus generalization. But your approach is much more sensible for the average business, because we don't have the luxury of saying, I only want to talk to people, because you're missing out on 75%. I mean, of course you got to do that, right? Of course you got to do that.
Well, of course. And if I can circle back to the whole competing with the content idea. The optics from those who are consuming content, they'll look at and make judgment. What's this Americo person talking about? If you read, he's talking about one thing. Then if you listen to him, he's talking about something else. Now it's all seamless and cohesive. It just blends in. And wherever you find Americo and his word or his message, it all sounds and feels the same. It all resonates. And if you put, marketing terms to that, that's like an omni-channel experience. Doesn't matter where you show up, Americo's message has the same look and feel.
Yeah, and it's very important for a small business who doesn't have the luxury to just specialize. I can specialize because I am myself, like I am the brand. But if you are a business trying to get everyone out, like 50% of people want you to do videos. You may not want to do them, but that's what they want you to do. So you've got to do them, or you've got to pay someone else to do it, or you've got to use AI. Because that's what people want, and the people and stuff, they are the people they are the source of your income. So I can afford to be obstinate, but a business can't. And I just think this is an amazing idea. Do you want to pick up on this, Lynn? How are you using some of this content? Are you making videos? Are you doing blog posts? Are you creating a podcast? Where are you at in this journey?
Well, I'm really at the beginning of it. So for me, it's more technical. I've got to figure out, and you guys have given me some tools to play with, how to repurpose, say even this show here, into my Substack, and I have YouTube as well, and Facebook and in Instagram. But for me, really, Facebook and Instagram, those I don't enjoy those platforms as much. So I don't know that I really want to spend a lot of time there. I will still post there, and and I may even, and I don't know, maybe because I have two, I have my business Facebook and then my regular, but maybe on my business one I might do more with. But so now I'm at the beginning, because for me it's really still learning how to navigate some of the how do I take these little clips and put them into and make them work into a blog, like you just said. So I'm at the beginning of it, but I definitely plan on doing it.
But we have a lot of this how-to content, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
My shows are very different in the sense that they're very free form, and often the very, very, very good stuff comes about 2 hours in, because we've all relaxed and we're having fun and we're sort of in the zone, and we let go. Like, I've seen webinars that I just cannot watch because they're just 45 minutes of boring shit and then a pitch at the end. I can't watch them. I mean, I've seen thousands of those. I can't watch them anymore because they're just formulaic. You know what's going on. They sort of front load this content for 45 minutes and then they pitch you at the end. And you know what's coming, and it's so boring. I'd rather go to the beach or, hang out with my mates. I mean, I don't learn anything new, and they're trying to sell me something. So my style of show is that we just chat, and the really genius moments happen when you don't expect, which is sort of a little bit unfortunate. But the fact is they are pure. Like, these moments that come, they're pure. And I guess the thing that would be very good, and hopefully Substack can do this, is Substack will be able to take those moments that happen 2 or 3 hours in and mine them and say, well, look, this 1 minute snippet, Keith, you were right on point here. This was good. Let's use that. Because I'm not going to be able to go through a 6-hour video and find all the good bits, but Substack's doing it for me. Bloody good. Very excited. Mate, Americo, you must be very, very, very excited about all this.
Well, just the time alone that it saves. Like, we all have a love-hate relationship with a tool of some sort. I'll edit because I need to edit, because there are instances where I need to get rid of the filler words and the ums and the dead air, so that it sounds cohesive and just has fluidity. So I'll edit those short form videos, but for every minute of audio, it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes of editing.
No, that is
So
that is the right thing. Just in case, let's just pick up on this editing. I'm doing a whole show about this in 2 weeks. For every minute that you hear us do in a polished, pure form, it's 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes behind the scenes. This is not an exaggeration. We've got to listen to it. We've got to hear it. We've got to edit it. We've got to listen to it again. We've got to mix it down. We've got to listen to it. We've got to compare it. It's 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes per minute, isn't it, America? You're giving me a real example here.
Absolutely. So for every short that people are, or every reel that people are seeing on Instagram, every minute has about 15 minutes worth of sweat equity. And now every example that Substack has shared with me is polished. Like, there's no need. That's 15 minutes of my life that I get back every time one of their recommended clips is sent my way, and I vet it and I post it. I've just saved 15 minutes.
Yeah, and you can just keep going on and on for that. It's very important that we remember that 25% like to read. You've got to find a way to put your words on the internet somehow. Google loves words. It's very good for SEO. 25% of people want to read. 25% of people want to hear. Luckily, I like to talk. That's a good synergy, a marriage made in heaven. But 50% of people want videos. We have to find a way to do videos in some format for them, unless we want to be invisible, which is
So can we touch on what might be an oxymoron, or maybe a different word to compare this to? So last week I put out a post inquiring and reaching out to my community and asking the question, when it comes to live events, how do you want to hear about upcoming events? And 36% of the people, and I think the poll is still open, but 36% responded, I'd like to hear about upcoming events by email. So there's the written content. And 48% want to hear about it through their feed, through a post in their feed. Mm-hmm. So people still want to see it in written format. So I took what my community was sharing with me, and my email blast now isn't about anything. I'm focusing in on my email campaigns and talking about past events. Hey, here's what transpired. Here's what we learned. Here are some of the key takeaways. And here's what's coming up next week. It's almost like for those who remember, TV Guide. These are articles on previous shows and articles on upcoming shows. And I repurpose that same content. And on Mondays, I will write an article. So it'll have SEO powers. SEO will work its magic, and a replay might get picked up because someone went online and entered a keyword that showed up in my article that's going to invite someone. Hey, you're going to want to listen to this episode from 6 months ago. And it'll be that episode that from 6 months ago that gets played today, and someone will reach out. Hey, can we sit down? Can we talk? How can we make this work?
Yep. The replays go on and on. I'm going to see if I can play this. AI has changed the way we view the world. And this has just happened today, but several of my songs that I've been creating this week have been picked up on many playlists. I'm very excited about this, America. I haven't even fully comprehended this, but several people have found my songs on SoundCloud and have put them on their playlists.
Love it.
And that's exactly what you're talking about, isn't it? You just do this content because you love doing it. On the other hand, people want to consume it. So several people today have put our songs that we've created on their playlists. And I think I've worked out why it's not working. So, to talk about AI and what's possible in the way, and let me just be very clear about the context. We're trying to get the word out about what we do. I'm not here for ego. I'm not here for any other reason. I love doing what I'm doing. I want people to listen to the show. So what we did, and I'll only play a few minutes to see if you can hear it. We actually created a series of songs called "Be Heard, Be Seen, Be Remembered." And you remember that, Lynn? Remember I was online last week and we just had a bit of fun with that.
I do.
And so this is what we came up with, and I've got about 20 versions of this, some of which are now on other people's playlists. Let me see if it works.
Be seen, be heard, be remembered.
Is that working?
It's working.
Woo-hoo. Yeah.
Together.
Now I want you to just see yourself in the stadium.
Lights are flashing. The stage
This is 100% AI.
We ain't even started, but they won't
Can you believe it?
forget.
Great.
Every heartbeat pounding, every soul aligned.
So I got it to work.
This is the moment.
We'll wait for the chorus and sing it with me.
Be seen, be heard, be remembered.
I love it.
Everybody's going to be singing it.
I tell you, it's something else. It's surreal that you can create music, and I wrote content around that. Imagine if your personal brand came with, its own single or its own song,
I'm single.
and it's incredible, right?
Well,
Now
I mean,
we entered the chorus in this version, and Suno completed the lyrics, but we've since changed the lyrics because I really want I really want the lyrics to be mine
yeah.
when we come out, and tie the song to my personal brand. And I think yesterday's version is pretty close to it, like it's. Don't get me, the version you've played, I love. And
Well, I've got 15 different versions. Michael, if you want to come up and talk about this, is very powerful. So, music is maths. There's 8 notes in a scale. There's only 12 notes to compare it to. There's only so many ways you can play the same notes, right? It's only mathematics, right? I mean, just in case you're thinking that I'm stealing people's stuff. So, what I thought today, Americo wrote a version. This is very, very cool. Like, this has just happened today. Americo wrote a version with different words, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this like as an 80s synth pop song, right? I'll talk about this in a whole show. So I want you to imagine it's the 80s. Devo's number one. Flock of Seagulls have just released I Ran, and Duran Duran has just formed. Right? I want you to imagine this scenario. You might not have been alive then, but I was about 18. So this is what we came up with. Can you see the video? There we are. We're on MTV. I got my big hair. Got my synths playing. There we go. Up, up.
The live streaming tech is ready. The mic and studio are set.
Mate, this is the world we now live in. I mean, what happened last Thursday is that I punched "Be Seen, Be Heard, Be Remembered" into Suno.ai. That's it, just the chorus. And it punched out a really crap song, which I won't play because it's crap. But it's clearly AI, and it doesn't even really sound like a real song. Because I used to write my own songs, and I know exactly how this stuff works. So then I thought, okay, well, that's a start. Let me take those words, which make sense in the English language. They sort of rhyme, and they're very generic and what we call there's a word we use in the music business, derivative. You know, they sound like every other song. Like they're not unique. They're just words in the English language that sort of fit together and rhyme at the end. And they're not very good. But it's not. I'm not insulting a person now, so I can't hurt anyone's feelings. So then I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I put the chorus at the front and I changed the sound to be a little bit like an 80s rock song? Be seen, be heard, be remembered. All right, I can sing that. I could do that. I did it in the 90s. I used to write my own songs. So, America, we can do virtually anything with this, can't we?
We can. We had the ethics conversation yesterday. You know, how far can we push this without feeling guilty? And that's what prompted me to maybe tweak the lyrics so that it's not fully computer generated. And it's still a good product that you're putting together. And yeah, you fooled me, because I set up a free Suno account and I entered in lyrics. And to your point, you still have to have some kind of musical intuition, an intellectual thinking when it comes to music. Otherwise, it'll continue to sound like crap.
Yeah,
and that's where you come in. You have a skill, and we touched on this yesterday. You have a skill that you can teach people on not only how to sound good in a conversation, over a podcast, over an audio event, but musically, you're also gifted.
Yeah, well, Bez was saying this. He's often called me a sound snob, and I think this is why. I mean, I've been doing music since I was 12, and I hear things, and I can't unhear them. Right? So when I hear a song, I go, I think I've worked out what that is. It's 1-6-4-5. This is a very standard chord progression that most pop songs have, and I'm thinking I could do that. 1, C, A minor, F, G, G7, C, A minor, F, G, G7. That's it. That's all they do, right? I've done this a million times. 1-6-4-4-5, and people go, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" This is like breathing for me. What are you talking about? So when I hear songs, I hear things. I hear the structure. I hear the relative minor. I hear them go into the solo. I hear them go up an octave or up a tone for the key change. The very common musical story. You know, you just go up one tone, 2 notes, and it suddenly changes the sound. And all you've done is you've just used the same chords up one tone, right? Which is a whole discussion unto itself. But I studied music theory for 10 years. So I take for granted what I know, I guess. I just take for granted what I know. But maybe I shouldn't. So what I did, and a mate of mine who I used to write songs with in the 90s said, let's try this. I wrote a song in 1993, which in hindsight wasn't very good. But of course, at the time, I thought I was a rock star. I had long hair. I had the look. I wrote my own song. I paid money to have it recorded. Of course, no one picked it up. And people did send me these very polite letters. Oh, this is a lovely effort, Keith. Thank you very much. We get a lot of these, and we're going to pass on it today. But keep going. You've got something there. Keep going. Got so many letters. But I got these letters from these really lovely people who are quite famous. And they were very polite. But, you know, when you hear the song, you realise that they were just being very, very polite. But I didn't know that at the time. I was 18. I was so excited. I could write my own songs. I did it. It sounded like the radio to me. So what my mate has said, well, let's take all of this tech that we've got now and redo those songs. Man, it is so good. But I didn't do it. Like, it's not me. I can make my songs sound like Nirvana. I could make them sound like Black Sabbath. I made one of my songs sound like Flock of Seagulls today. But that's not me. I didn't do it. This machine did it. But this is where we're at now. So when you listen to music, you can't go back. You can't help but wonder how much of that is a real person. How much is anyone even singing this? I mean, I listen to the music now and I think I could have done that. I think this a lot. I could have done that because I have done it. And I'm thinking, is she even singing this? It changes the whole way we view the world, doesn't it? America, it's really big conversation.
It is, and listen, I think more and more people are open to it simply because people are leaning into this whole AI movement, and nobody wants to steal someone else's work and call it their own. But I don't think we're doing that, right? It might sound and feel like someone else's work, and you got to be careful with the lyrics, and you got to know how far you can push the envelope before your phone rings or an email comes through and say, hey, this is a cease and desist. You sound a little too much like us. Back off.
Are we in another Napster moment?
Possible. It's quite possible. Time will tell. Like, Napster stuck around for a few years before they pulled the plug on it.
There's been quite a lot of copyright cases. It's very hard to prove. Some people have won, some people haven't. But you may not know this, but the support band for Led Zeppelin, 1974, when they were starting, had this song, and the chord progression is exactly the same as Stairway to Heaven. Exactly the same chords. It's just a slight difference at the end. They go up instead of down, the right at the end. Exactly the same, right? And then so they went to court. They lost. This is pretty phenomenal. And then they said, actually, this is pretty interesting. We went back into the musical records and we found this 15th century classical piece by Telemann with two N's that is exactly the same. So what are we going to do? We're going to go back and give the estate of Telemann, who died in 1583, this kudos for this song that came out in 1974. And and if you're really thinking about it, you stole his song. Right? Copyright only lasts 50 years after the death of the artist. So, I mean, there's only 12 notes in the world in Western music. 12 notes. There's only 12 notes. So there's only so many ways you can play those notes.
Absolutely. And if you go on YouTube, you will find parody videos of artists. Here's a variation of songs that use the same 3 chords or 4 chords or 2 or however many chords.
5. Yeah, 1 6 4 5.
And they'll just ramble on and do like a tribute to all these songs, and it's the same chords over and over.
There's actually an Australian band. This is really interesting. The band is called Axis of Awesome. Axis of Awesome. And they play 20 songs in a row with the same chord progression. 1 6 4 5. And you go, oh, I know that song. Yep, you do. And that sounds exactly like this. Yeah, you're right. Wow. 20 songs. Axis of Awesome. C major, A minor, F, G. G7, C major, A minor, F, G. In whatever key they do it in. 1 6 4 5. It's just a quintessential classic rock chord progression. You can't copyright chord progressions. So I'm very, very fascinated by this, and it might become a Napster moment. I'm still sitting on the fence of where I think the ethics are, to be honest. I'm still sitting on the fence. And there's some songs that I've done with this tech that I won't show you because they're too close. And I just don't feel comfortable with that because I know exactly how to do it. Mathematically, you can't type in, can you make this sound like Nirvana? You can't do that. but you could say something like, could you make it sound like a 90s grunge band that started the grunge movement in 1993? Ooh, I don't know who that is, but I think I can guess. So, and then you go, wow, it does sound pretty close, but I didn't mention the word Nirvana. The reason why this is very, very, very important, is that we have a movement now called the Velvet Sundown. Now, I want you to Google this if you haven't heard of them. Velvet Sundown are the number one played song on Spotify in the AI music charts. They have an AI music chart. And this guy, I don't know who it is, this person created a whole album and a whole mysterious, fictitious band called A Velvet Sundown. It's now had 2 million plays, and the fictitious band has 1 million followers. The band doesn't exist. No one has played a single instrument. And it's really creating this storm about, well, what's real anymore? Have you heard this story, America? Have you heard me talking about this story?
Yeah, I've heard you talk about Velvet Sundown, but the same thing is happening in even on LinkedIn. If you see it come across your feed, there are AI generated people who have a larger following than most of us, and are getting engagement that we all dream of.
Yeah.
And these aren't real people.
Yeah, the famous Wimbledon influencer. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
So I don't know if you've heard this, Lynn, but there's several entities on LinkedIn that don't exist. Can you believe it? People are following people that don't even exist now.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Yeah, because she's pretty and she was at the tennis and she was hanging out with all the famous people and she had a selfie taken with them. I don't know how they did that, but amazing stuff. So AI is there to be used by whatever. So we can choose to use it or not. And there's no wrong or right answer. Some people will reject it totally. Some people dabble and some people will embrace it. I'm still sitting on the fence on this. I'm still sitting in the middle. I'm still not sure I'm comfortable with the ethics of this, because even though mathematically I could derive the synth sound from Flock of Seagulls I ran as a mathematical calculation, I could do that, or the computer could. Should I? Is that right? I mean, it's just math. The system is there. It's a digital image, a digital creation. I'm still sitting on the fence, but I'm open and I want to have this discussion. If you want to come and chat about how you're using Suno, Michael, I'd be very interested in that. You've created some songs, and that's very interesting. You've been doing this for a while. There's another one called Udio, udio.com, which also does this. So it's happening. And the reason why it's important to have this discussion in this context is we've created a wonderful show here that's been going for 3 hours. Now, no one's going to watch the whole 3 hours. Well, we need some tech or some people to create smaller snippets in a world where we're just so busy, we can't do it. Mm-hmm. And so AI is our friend. What AI do you use currently? Lynn, do you use any AI?
I use ChatGPT, and I use the Jotform, which I'm using as a sign up for my group cruise next year. But I really I use Copilot too, because I use that and Canva. So I guess I'm using a bit more than I realized, but yeah, I mean, it's I don't know how you can really not use it, because I think it's becoming such a part of our daily lives, in one way or another.
That actually is a better question. Rather than what AI do you use, can we live in a business context without it? I'm not sure we can. It's 2025. It's not going away. We can't put this back in the box.
We can't put it back in the box, but there are certain limitations, and I think we may have reached the hype curve in some industries. And I'll use a personal example. I had to call my mobility provider for my cell phone for some service. So mentioned earlier, planning on traveling to the U.S. and I want a better plan so that I'm not charged for roaming charges. So I called to make an inquiry. Hey, is there a plan that has international coverage or other than nationwide? So I can call across Canada, but I can't call across North America. So I was once able to pick up the phone, press 0, wait for an extreme amount of time, and get a live person. I now get answered by an AI agent who, conversational AI, sounds like you're talking to someone. They welcome you. There's that salutation, welcome to company such and such. And why don't you tell me the reason for your call? And in natural language, you tell them why you're calling. It's like, all right, so it sounds like you're interested in roaming. What is it specifically about roaming that you're interested about? Would you like us to add a roaming plan? Would you? And so you're having a conversation with an AI agent. And I said, I just want to talk to someone. I have a question other than roaming. Can you put me through to a live agent? Well, it sounds like you'd like to speak to a live agent, and we'd love to put you in touch with a live agent. We're now scheduling appointments for customers who want to speak with live agents. The first available appointment is Tuesday at 9, 10, and 11. Now, I called on Thursday of last week. I had to wait till, 4 days, 5 days before I can get a live person on the phone.
Wow.
So it's going to reach a tipping point where customer loyalty might shift. It might not, because I guess if customer adaptation in the generations that precede us adopt this AI movement and this customer enabled ecosystem where you're having conversations with AI, and if that's what the market wants, then that's what will continue to happen. But there will be companies that will pull the plug on their AI initiatives and either make it a hybrid solution or pull it all together and just use AI in non-customer facing situations.
I love this discussion. Do you want to pick up on this, Michael? I will give you the floor. First of all, how are you using AI with Suno, etc.? And can we live without it? I mean, it's 2025. Can we put the genie back in the box?
I think the short answer is no. If you think about the internet, if you think about MIDI, if you think synths, if you think about loopers. Now, yes, I mean, primarily I'm using my own lyrics, and then I use Suno for the vocals and the music. I'm not ready yet to add my own vocals, but I'm already seeing artists that are what they call using it for ideation, meaning ideas. And then in some cases, they're replicating it either on their instruments or maybe even having someone else lay down tracks. Then they're bringing it up into Suno and adding, like if they're not doing their own synth. So you're going to see, and they're coming out with something called Studio, which I'm not sure how that differs from the editor that they have, but apparently it's going to be even more complex. And I think you're going to see musicians, traditional musicians, using Suno more. And this is like a Pandora's box. I don't think this is going to go back in the box.
How would musicians use it? I'm very fascinated to hear what you think might happen with musicians who can see the potential.
Well, let's say or let's say I don't have a drummer, or I don't have a bass player and I'm a vocalist, or whatever. Then I can, in Suno you can use something called stems, and you can actually break out your song that AI creates into stems, and then you can, basically edit those or move those around, or add and remove tracks. And I think that's what the artists are going to do. Like, why am I going to hire Keith a full band if like I said, maybe I'm a front singer and bass player, or guitar player or whatever. What do I need the rest of the band for? And when you have to go into studio, paying studio time, you're paying producers and distributors, and just think that, like I said, this genie is out of the box. I think you're going to see traditional musicians using it more and more. The question is for what? But like I said on YouTube, and I saw this woman that basically did what she had an idea, or she used Suno to create a song idea and then created the song. It was not, I don't know if she used anything. I think she did use some tracks from Suno, but basically she added her own vocals and her own keyboard. So I don't remember exactly what she used from Suno, but that's what they're doing. And there's quite a few of them. I've seen YouTubers showing themselves using. And to your point, there's other apps out there besides Suno. It's just I paid for Suno, so I'm paying attention to Suno.
You're using it, because you're using it quite proficiently, and your songs sound very good. How do you do it?
Well, typically my lyrics, a lot of them. Now I'm going almost directly to the lyrics. It really depends. And so then I actually, this is a lot of experimentation, Keith. And I think the other thing is I'm still learning, actually, because some of the prompts, AI has a habit of not necessarily, I think they call it prompt consistency or something, but they don't always follow the prompts that you give. So and there's a limit in Suno on the length of the prompts. I think it's 1,000 characters or something. So there's quite a bit of an experimentation as to which genre you're going to use. You have to tell it I want more energetic chorus and beats per minute, and there's all sorts of stuff. And I couldn't find actually a lot of documentation, so I've just been experimenting on Suno. But like I discovered funk. I didn't even know funk existed. That's PHONK. So I actually have some funk songs. Actually, I have a whole playlist.
Who do they
of
sound
funk
like?
songs. Well, funk came out of funk and Memphis jazz.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
kind of hard, and maybe even a touch of hip hop. So it's a weird sound. I'll send you some
Yeah.
songs, but it's but yeah, again, it's there's a lot of experimentation and a lot of use of prompting. And then if you use Suno on the left, when you do a create, there's a little put in basically what you would like the song genre to be, and then you click on this little thing that looks like a little magic wand with some 3 little plus signs to it, and that actually uses AI to kind of tune your style prompt.
Yeah. I've been playing around with it in a very basic way myself. This is the screen that I use. So you can actually type in, you can't type in, can you make this song sound like Metallica? You can't do that. But
No,
you could say,
no.
something like, I would really like a 90s metal song that had really
Yep.
cool lyrics and thumping drums.
And if you know the type of drums and the beats per minute and all that stuff, you can put that all in the prompt under the style tags. And the other thing that's new, Keith, is this weirdness and style influence. So I actually haven't played around a lot with that, but that just changes how far the AI is going to take the vocals in the music. And then you see the vocal gender. I don't know. I actually haven't played around. I actually usually use that in the prompt. I'll have to play around with that, but I usually put that in the main prompt. The other thing is I've seen certain people try to put tags in the lyrics. I think by and large it ignores those, but I'm gonna have to play around a little bit more with that.
It's just fascinating because do you think we're in a Napster moment?
No, I don't. Well, I'm not a lawyer. I've dealt with quite a few in my job as CISO. So I think the I look at it like this. Well, first of all, I mentioned in the chat with the Ed Sheeran thing that there's basically 4 chords in most modern music, and he actually got sued. I don't know if you heard this, but he got sued by some rando guy that basically said that he had stolen some of his music or whatever, and he won. But he does this presentation or demo of, give me a song and I'll play these 4 chords in different progressions. And so I think it's going to be hard. Okay. So yes, when they train it, they're taking samples of thousands and thousands of, probably maybe even millions of songs. But as opposed to some of the stuff that's coming out on the text side, my feeling is, and because there's a lot of knobs to twiddle in this with all the prompting, that I think it's going to be tough, because I'm assuming they're going to have to show, well, in many cases it's intent. And again, I'm not a lawyer, but if you said, they won't, Suno won't allow you to do this, but if you said, I want to replicate Stairway to Heaven, and you did it, and it did, then they'd have something, to go after you about. But happens to sound like Stairways to Heaven, that's for the courts. The courts are going to have to whack that out. But I would think, depending on how close it is really what it's going to come down to. Because I'm hearing a lot of songs to my untrained ear, and maybe that would be different to you. But, and again, because I've been with Suno, I've just heard of genres and styles I've never heard of before. And then variations of those styles. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where this all goes, but I just look at it as, another technology, another tool. Now, is it upsetting? Just like the image gen stuff? I mean, the fact that I can type in, a relatively long but reasonable prompt for an image gen and get a pretty cool looking image. I have a friend on LinkedIn that's doing this, I think, full time, and I consider her an artist. Now, she's using AI to do it, but the stuff that's coming out is really good. And to be honest, I think to compete, the artists are going to, because part of the problem is I can do this so fast. Like, I can come up with a song almost while we're on the show.
You can.
And it can sound pretty good. So I think to compete, like I said, I think one of the things they're probably going to do is use it for ideation and use it for stuff that they can't or have to pay a lot of money. Like, and by the way, that was the other thing, Keith. There are already studio style software, and that you had these beats and all this stuff. So what's and I'm not trying to, maybe I'm just ignorant, but I've seen this, that, and you see there's this kid on LinkedIn that creates this great, all these great tracks, but he's piecing it together, and he has all the, I don't know where he gets them, but he has all of these samples and stuff, and he's creating, and I'm like, so how?
In the very early 2000s, 2000, I did a radio show on Blog Talk Radio, and I wrote my own theme song using a piece of software called Acid. And my mate of mine, he says, so, okay, let's pick a drum beat. It just plays 8 beats of that forever. Let's pick up a drum pattern. I can send you this if you want. This is a drum pattern. Okay, that's a drum pattern. That's a bass pattern. Now let's pick a sort of a rhythm pattern. That will play forever. Now let's pick a little bit of a melody. So you got the drums and the bass and the keyboards and the guitar and the melody, and it's all been generated by this little piece of software. Now it sounds like it was crap, but I was able to create a little theme song for the radio show in 2008 in an afternoon. Downloaded to MP3, and we used it every time we went on Blog Talk Radio. So you're right. This technology has existed for almost ever. Certainly it's a 21st century technology, but I've been playing around with it since at least 2008. So, and this is mostly available in the studio at a very high cost, but now it's just a sort of a tool that everyone can use. So it's probably not new. Amazing, isn't it? Got you there, Michael? Yeah.
Well, I just see it as a progression, Keith, because with a looper, right? You have a drum beat machine, right? And yes, you lay down the beat, but the drum sound is coming from the machine, and then you record that as a track. And then some of the stuff I've seen from loopers is really cool. It's tough for me to differentiate between, okay, so an AI is doing that now, but it's under my prompting. So where does my prompting and the AI, take over? And I'm doing constant adjustments, like you, Keith. Most songs I have at least variations with just different attributes, and
where are you putting them?
In some cases,
them on Suno? Are you putting them on Suno, or you're putting them out?
Right now they're on Suno because I wanted to get enough that I could release them somewhere, and I have to figure out how to get what's the Stack app. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out get them out. I'm not streaming them yet.
Yeah, it's very, 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 very interesting. So, because I've got a musical brain, those 4 chords, 1, 6, 4, 5, and I'm sending everyone a video of this if you want it. 20, 30, 130 songs in the history of the world have been created by this. And once you hear that chord progression, your life will change, because you'll just think, hang on, that's another one of them. 1, 6, 4, 5. So I've heard people take people to court because it sounded like Johnny B. Good, which is a 12-bar, 1, 4, 5. That's the most basic chord progression in the history of the world. Every blues song has that chord progression. You can't copyright chord progressions because they're so basic. So, of course, they sound the same. And I'm just really fascinated by this because, as I said, I wrote a song in 1993 and it cost me hundreds and hundreds of dollars to record it, and weeks and weeks of time because I was working full time. I could only do it on weekends. Weeks and weeks and weeks of time. Now I can do something 10 times better in 10 minutes. It's just amazing. Just amazing. And what we're doing now is we're talking about, can we live without AI, and what AI do you use? So if you'd like to come up, it doesn't necessarily have to be musical. Like we could just be on the boat having funky fun, or funky fun. Funky, we could have funky fun. We could have some funky. But I'd love to know what people are using. My understanding is that anything content, music, video that is created by AI is copyright free, and you cannot. That's right, you cannot copyright AI material. But it's what Andy's saying is that it's also copyright free, which means they can't go here. I'm just very fascinated by this because I feel for the artists. I was the quintessential starving artist in the 80s. I was the quintessential starving artist. I had this horrible day job to pay the rent. I know millions of people like me. And I mean, if this technology had have existed then, maybe I would have been able to pay rent instead of having to go to that crappy job. Who knows? We've been going 2.5 hours, and I think this is a good sort of juncture to wrap up. We've talked about why do we travel, but what we've also talked about, and I haven't heard your comments on this, Michael, but what we're mostly concerned about here is that we do these long shows, and they create massive amounts of content 2 or 3 hours in. How are you using AI from a content generation point of view to segment your material, Michael, and how are you getting it out?
I'm using pretty much, I think, the same thing as you. I'm using Notebook LM. Google came out with something else, and I'm forgetting the name of it. Does the same thing. I think you can change the voices somewhat.
Wow.
But as far as I'm using that, but as far as what I'm using AI for, it's for everything. And now that ChatGPT 5 dropped, basically what OpenAI is doing is making the interface. So they already had Agent, they already had image gen. They don't have, that I know of anyway, video gen yet. But they're making it easy, and now you can do internet searches a lot easier with 5. So getting back to I mean, I use it for everything, even including just brainstorming. So I use it as like almost a buddy to talk to and say, hey, I want to do a song about X. Let's just step through some ideas. And I don't create lyrics that way, but I step through the ideas, and then I go, oh, a good idea, and then I go write usually a poem, like I said, but in some cases I'll direct to lyrics. And all of my images that you see on my LinkedIn articles are all AI generated.
What do you use for that?
I use a combination of ChatGPT and Canvas, which I think uses Leonardo.
Okay, that's fascinating. What about you, America? What AI are you using? And we need to embrace it. We can't ignore it. We can ignore it, but we won't be able to keep up. We just won't be able to keep up. So, what tech are you using to keep up?
Well, for images, Canva, so Leonardo as well. But I'm not paying for ChatGPT because I'm on a paid Microsoft Office suite. I lean into Copilot for that. And let me ask a question, and before I continue answering, what are your thoughts and how long it will take for AI search to cripple Google? Or will it happen?
That's a good choice. I mean, the question, the answer there is, do you use Google anymore? I don't. I use Copilot and Perplexity now. I don't even use Google anymore, except for where is the local Mexican restaurant and what is their phone number. So if people are starting to embrace AI search, which we do, then Google might be on its last legs. What do you think, Michael? Is Google sort of in trouble, or do you still use Google to look for a local restaurant? Or
I use everything, dude. I mean, literally, like, my, I don't even remember. I think it's Google that allows you to do video, or you could take a picture of something and say, "What is this?" Like a motorcycle. Okay, what brand of motorcycle is this? And so, is that search? Is that AI? The and I think what's happening with Gemini and Google search is they're merging. So it's going to be Google as we know it is kind of going to. I'm kind of surprised Google hasn't bought Perplexity, but or some other model like Perplexity. I use Perplexity primarily for search. I use Claude for coding and for writing. I use ChatGPT for image gen and animation. I do a lot of brainstorming because I have I have to it on my phone. So I'm using AI every day for all sorts of things, including Suno.
Yeah, I wonder what the average person's using. Someone who's not really into it. What do you think, Lynn? What's your? Are you still using Google to search for things, or do you use Perplexity or Copilot or ChatGPT, or do you do a bit of a combo?
Well, I use it all, but I really love ChatGPT. I mean, it's on my phone. I've got the app. It's mainly Copilot. I use it if I'm on my laptop. I don't know why I don't use it on my phone. I just find for some reason it's weird. I'm used to using ChatGPT on my phone, and then on the laptop, Copilot. It's weird, but that's how I roll.
Yeah, really fascinating. Just fascinating. It's just fascinating. And I'm really interested in where this is all going to play out. I'm as I said, I'm sitting on the fence about whether I want to get involved in the music stuff because I guess I came from it, so I have an affinity for it. But Americo said I don't have any trouble creating images with Bing, and that's sort of a similar debate. So I guess but I was never an artist, and I can't draw, so it can do things I can never do. Whereas these songs I did try to create myself back in the day when Depeche Mode was number one.
Well, yesterday you touched on, hey, any one of us are chefs, but we can take a recipe and cook Asian fusion or any iteration that our palate may enjoy.
Actually, this is a very good point. I was going to mention this again. If we use the analogy that all the music ever created in the world is a basket of goods, a basket of fruit and vegetables, if we take that leap, every song ever created since 1885 when the gramophone was invented, because I did some Googling on that, some co-piloting. 1885, they invented the gramophone, so they started to record music. Even before that, they had cylinders, although I don't think there's many of them left. So if you just 150 years of music in the world, all put onto a big, cloud server, and you take that as a basket of food, and someone puts a basket of, this happens to us every Tuesday, someone puts a basket of food at your front door and says, oh, this is what you got to use this week. You can have anything you want, you just got to use this. Cabbages and cauliflower, and we're vegetarians and it's 100% organic. Okay, so that's all we got. We've got to create the meal. We did that. The actual basket of goods is the essential ingredients there. You can't just chuck a carrot in the pan and just say, fry pan, can you make that please? We've got to do it. But when we create a meal, did we create it? Or is it the ingredients that were given to us that created it? If someone gives us tofu, we can put tofu in it. If someone gives us spinach or avocado or carrots or cabbage. So in a way, the collective musical wisdom of society is like a basket of fruit and veggies. We then decide, it's a huge jump, but we then decide what we want that to sound like. If we have the discernment to say, you know what, I really feel like a Thai curry today. It's probably not going to taste like a chocolate cake. Probably not. If you just, I've done this when I was learning to cook. I don't know what I want. Let's just put it all in there and see what happens. Well, then it's inedible, isn't it? Which is what happens with a lot of music. It's unpalatable. But if you have discernment, you know what? I really, really, really want this to sound like an early 80s synth thing with that Depeche Mode Devo vibe. If you want to do that. Or I really want this to sound like a Megadeth song, you know, with that really heavy detuned bass down to D, just in case you don't know how they do that. You know, so they detune the bass, the notes down one octave, one tone, and we call it detuned guitar. You get a really deep voice metal sound. You know, you might not like that sound, but that's what you can do. Now, you have to know that. It just doesn't happen because there is a surprise me button. Surprise me. You just come up with something. Oh, wow. Wasn't expecting that. You can do that, but then you got nothing. Then you just got a slop. So you're right, Americo. I mean, we are in a field now where we have discernment over how we treat the contents, but the contents have been given to us from others. Yeah. And the food analogy is a good one. We have to put that food into some useful format before we can consume it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And, you know, I used to play keyboards in the 80s, and someone would say to me, that doesn't sound like a saxophone. I had a DX7. Or what was then called the V50. It was a DX7 with this sequencer on it, so I could record. This is 1983. That doesn't sound like a saxophone. I know it doesn't sound like a saxophone, but I can't play saxophone. And I don't want to lug a saxophone and an Hammond organ and a piano and on the truck. I'm just putting this DX7 in the back seat. And it's sort of a reasonable saxophone for a Saturday night at the pub. I mean, no one really cares, except the saxophone player, who I didn't pay because I'm doing these duos with one other person. And you've all seen two people in a band in the corner in a pub. They didn't bring the whole band. They didn't bring a whole truckload of stuff. That's been happening since like the 80s. People make their living that way. They have a drum track and a bass track. They sing and they play guitar and they might do a solo. And then while you're singing, the guitarist is doing his thing or her thing. And while he's doing the solo, you're playing the congos. We've all seen that. America, yeah, you've got duos there in Toronto, haven't you?
Absolutely. And a lot of musical talent hidden in the corners of a lot of pubs and bars.
Amazing. So I'm just going to play around with it. We've been going, and as this is a very good example of what we do. We started with a theme. Why do we travel? We talked about the main ideas around travel, but what really got me thinking was this show is so important that it seems a shame to just leave it sit there. So then we got onto AI and why should we morph, just in case you're wondering how we got here. Next week, very, 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 very interesting show, inspired by Americo. We are going to use only YouTube on next Tuesday's show, and we're going to try and experiment with how successful we will be in getting people to come to YouTube if the LinkedIn version is not available. Very interesting, because I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket if LinkedIn decides they don't like my shows or wraps it behind the premium feature. Is that your inspiration for it too, Americo, this idea of let's see if we can get people to come to YouTube?
Well, it's a multifaceted point of view for myself. There's what you just mentioned, but there's also, how far can we grow our community? Like our presence in comparison to LinkedIn, we have a pretty small presence. But how loyal is the presence that we have? Will they follow us? Like you used to have a huge following on Twitter. You then went to Discord and found out that people weren't investing in Discord. So this is a similar experiment. We're going to try this out and see, will people show up? Will new community members chime in because that's where they're present. And we talk about, the whole marketing analogy, show up where your audience is. There may be an untapped audience that we're not reaching out to because we're not investing enough time, effort, and energy in that platform.
Yeah.
So we'll toy around with it. We'll create an episode. We'll repurpose it and see and measure how many views, how many visits, and see if it's worth balancing or if there's growth potential.
Well, the thing that's very important for us is that you and I both were at that confluence in December 2024 where LinkedIn Audio went away with 10 days notice. I predicted it in January that year, but no one believed me. But in say randomly 18th of November, we get this email. I'm sorry, we've decided we're going to kill LinkedIn Audio events. Sorry about that. No events after December. But if you're very, 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 very clever and you just punch everything in, we'll let you go until the end of December. But officially, you can't make any LinkedIn Audio events after December. But no really good reason. We just decided. And you and I both met in that sort of moment, and we've been experimenting for now almost 9 months. That could happen again. LinkedIn could decide, this audio event, this LinkedIn event thing, it's not working. It's not worth it. We're not making any money out of it. It's a bit of a waste of time. We're just going to close that feature down.
Or hide it behind a paywall.
Or hide it behind the premium wall. So I just want to know that if, and this is a very good section for another show, we can talk about this next week, maybe it could be Go Brunch. Maybe it could be Blue Sky. It could be YouTube. But I don't want all of my content to only be reliant on one system in case that system changes. And this has happened with Twitter. It happened with LinkedIn Audio events. So I've always got a backup mindset. Yeah. So with that in mind, please come to the next show, which is next week. It's going to be a YouTube only show. I'm really, really, really fascinated to see if anyone will come. My history, yeah.
You might shatter a record. This might be the first show that goes under 3 hours.
Well, other than being killed off by LinkedIn themselves. Yeah, that is true. That is true. My history is that whenever I've tried a new platform, people do not come. Discord, Go Brunch, they don't come. I've had massive issues with getting people from LinkedIn to try new things. That's going to be my sort of supposition there. But I want to try it. I want to give it a go. I want to push hard. And next week, when we're on YouTube, we'll talk about all the options, whether we send it to Blue Sky, which you can't yet. So that's not available. But whether we go to Go Brunch again. I'm not prepared to try Discord again. I tried it for 2 years. It was a complete failure. Failure is a strong word. I didn't achieve the result I perceived I would. I put in a lot of effort, very little ROI. Some people might consider that a failure, but that word has strong connotations. So I wasn't happy with the result. I'm not happy with that 2 years of my life and all of that effort I put in for no benefit. A bit pissed off. So I won't be going back to Discord, but I might go back to Go Brunch to see if we can get people to try it again. And we could, if time allows, go into a real session there. But what do you think? Is it time to wrap up? Has anyone got any more energy?
Well, I do. I want to say, Keith Keller, the audio king, get your microphone approved to do your thing.
Ah, wow.
That's my little bit for you.
Okay, Keith Keller is the microphone king. Get your microphone and do your thing. Okay. So who are we doing there? We sort of morphing the Jackson 5, or we sort of doing a Dre, or a sort of a, what are we doing?
Well, I mean, when I think of the tech and microphone and sound, I guess, and I don't know, I was thinking kind of rhyming, I guess more, but maybe a mix of rap. What is it called, that genre of music where it's a mixture, where you take the two to get, maybe that is southern rap, maybe.
Bama rap. We'll call this. We'll create this new genre called Bama rap. Keith Keller is the audio king. Grab a microphone and do your thing.
Yeah.
Now you watch me. Watch this. What's gonna happen? That's all it is. That's all it is. We start with a chorus. And this is what I'm talking about, America. This is you start with a chorus. You don't have to write the whole song. This is not literature. We're just having fun. Music is fun. And so you've given me an idea. I can't wait now. I'm going to get some lunch and I'm going to write the Bama Rock. Maybe I'll do it in the same sort of style as who did Black Betty?
Yeah,
Ram
yeah. Well, yeah.
Ram
gosh.
Jam?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Ram Jam?
Mhm.
Oh, Black Betty, Bama Lamb. Oh, Black Betty, Bama Lamb. Are they a Bama band?
No, gosh, but that is one of my husband loves that song.
What is it?
It's on the
Sweet Home
playlist.
Alabama? Sweet Home Alabama. I could do that. I could do a sort of a Leonard Skinner meets, someone new. Could do that. Ram Jam meets Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, you when you get them pulled together, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah. Keith
Stay
Keller is
tuned.
the
It'll
audio
be out in the next hour.
It will.
Yeah.
And that's. I mean, Mike was saying this. Like when I wrote a song, when I wrote "Make a Difference Today," I was at work. I wrote the words down. I went home. I recorded it into my 4-track. I then on the weekend played the drums and the bass, and then I went to a studio and I hired a guitarist and paid a singer to sing it properly. Took me weeks and weeks and weeks. I can have this song out by lunchtime.
I bet you can. I bet you can.
Keith Keller is the audio king. I could actually do a bit of a Deep Purple. Speed King. Speed King. Audio King. Do a little bit of a Richie Blackmore riff. I can be John Lord. I'm excited now. That's all it is. It's just us with 2 lines. And then you create a song. Now, let me just be very clear what's going to happen now. I've got 2 lines. Suno will create the rest. Who knows if it's any good? But I'll do a Deep Purple version. I'll do a Leonard Skinner version and I'll do a Ram Jam version.
Okay.
And let's see what happens. I mean, bloody hell, someone's going to be knocking at the door soon. Keith, you got to stop. We're going to put you in jail. You got to stop this. You're stealing our stuff. I'm not stealing my stuff. I just had a bit of fun on the show. No, you're stealing our songs. So I'm really, really interested in how this is going to play out. Keith Keller is the audio king. So with that in mind, I'm going to go, but I'll play you probably the latest version or maybe the best version of our collective wisdom in regards to be seen, be heard. So which version do you want? Which one do you like the most, America, of the 15 we've created?
Well, I like the original, that first one that you played, the demo.
Yeah.
But last night's version really, really sunk in. And it's very 90s, very like my musical scene from when I was
acoustic
young.
guitar, big
Yeah.
sort of style. I think it's this one.
Be seen, be heard, be remembered.
Maybe not. Might be. We did 15 versions.
It was was an 80s radio mix. Just before.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I can't play it on SoundCloud, which is all very neatly and sufficiently sort of played there. But I'll play the big power one. And what I want you to do when you're listening to this as we fade out, I want you to imagine Steve Perry, Steve Tyler, and Freddie Mercury doing a 3-part harmony at Live Aid. This is what I want you to imagine. This is a 3-part harmony, 1, 3, 5, and I'll do the 8. So we'll do a 4-part harmony. Be seen, be heard, be remembered.
Be seen, be heard,
Be remembered.
let's get together and watch our communities grow. Lights are flashing, the stage is set. We ain't even started, but they won't forget. Every heartbeat pounding, every soul aligned. This is the moment
Ready?
we've been waiting to find.
Sing it with me.
Be seen, be heard, be remembered. Let's get together and watch our community grow. Shadows fading, the crowds alive, voices rising, electric vibes. Feet keep moving, time stands still. We're chasing the thrill, we're bending the wheel. The rhythm's loud, it calls your name. This is no game, no one's the same. Be seen, be heard, be remembered.
That's my falsetto.
Let's get together and watch our communities grow.
I wasn't the singer, obviously, in the band.
In the dark, the fire in the rain, a million stars in the sky. Never again will we fade, will we hide? We're born to ignite. We're a blaze, we're alive, burning so bright.
Here's the bridge. What we often call the middle 8. Building up to a double chorus. Sing it with me. Sing it with me.
Be seen, be heard, be remembered. Let's get
Together and watch our community grow. Baseline. Be heard, be remembered. I'll do the Elvis version. Together and watch our communities grow.
You gotta throw a little. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Why, thank you. Why, thank you. So